Hello, and welcome to our reading of Star Trek for The Voyage Home, my favorite Star Trek movie. So, all of us Starfleet nerds here are back at ya. We have an addition of Corey. It's her first time, and I don't think she's ever seen Star Trek, so welcome, Corey. um, we have lost a couple people for tonight's planned reading, so we are all playing multiple roles here. Um, if you see me having different accents, that's why. So tonight we've got with us Hunter. He is going to be the titular, that word.
Kirk's name isn't in the title. Is this more Kirk or this side? What are we thinking?
Ooh.
Outside.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
actor's choice there. So he's our James T. Kirk and a garbage man. Hunter, don't forget you're a garbage man too.
And you're not the first person to tell me that, and you won't be the last.
All right. And as our wonderful Vulcans this evening, we've got Captain Spock and Admiral Sarek. We've got Alexander. And then Travis is brushing off his Russian accent tonight as Lieutenant Pavel Chekhov. And he's going to be a Klingon ambassador, amongst many other things.
So
And we've
glad.
also don't forget you're searching for nuclear vessels.
Wessels, okay.
Vessels. And then we've got Jared with us. He's going to be our Leonard Bones McCoy. And Admiral Cartwright, which is Morrow in the script. And we've got Corey with us. Corey is doing a lot of hard work for us today, especially since it's her first time. Thank you. She's going to be our Hikaru Sulu, our intrepid pilot here, as well as our scene description. So thank you very much for joining us, Corey. I got everybody, right? Yes, I got everybody but myself. I will be playing Aurora, Gillian, and also Lieutenant Savik. So... yay! I'm a lot of things. All right. So without further ado, Corey, take us away.
All right. We've got Star Trek 4 for The Voyage Home, screenplay by Harv Bennett and Nicholas Meyer, story by Steve Mearson and Peter Kreiks. Fade in, space, starfields. A horn sounds the Star Trek fanfare, and we begin to move forward. Main titles begin. And to the delight of Star Trek lovers everywhere, the music over the early credits is the series theme by Alexander Courage. We're in for a classic, good old Star Trek time. But hold on. After the first 16 bars and early credits, the music trails off ominously into silence and a faint new sound. At the same time, we pick up a speck of light coming toward us from deep space. As the sound grows, the speck begins to assume shape and form. Closer, the probe. A simple cylinder, non-threatening but huge in size, with odd eye-like antenna. It emits the sound, a long synthesized gibberish foreign to our ears. The sound stops. The antenna rotates. The sound is heard a second time, then stops. As the probe slowly passes us, we hear.
What do you make of it?
It appears to be a probe, Captain, from intelligence unknown to us.
Space, the starship Saratoga, a Reliant class vessel.
Continue transmitting. Universal peace and hello in all known languages. Give me Starfleet command.
Interior bridge, USS Saratoga, favoring the captain. She is a concerned Starfleet professional. Her male science officer stands beside her. Credits resume.
Starfleet Command, this is the USS Saratoga patrolling Sector 5, neutral zone. We are tracking a probe of unknown origin on an apparent trajectory to the Terran solar system. Attempts to communicate with the probe have been negative on all known frequencies.
Continue tracking Saratoga. We will analyze transmission and advice.
Roger, Starfleet. Saratoga out.
Range 400,000 kilometers closing. Here it comes again.
The call, louder this time, as they listen. The bridge lights begin to dim.
What's causing that?
Captain, their call is being carried on an amplification wave of enormous power.
Can you isolate the wave?
Negative. It's impacting on all our system.
Even as he speaks, the gibberish increases in volume and the lights on the bridge dip lower.
Yellow alert! Shields up! Helm! Reduce closing speed!
The helmsman attempts to comply. Nothing works.
Captain, thruster controls have been neutralized.
Emergency thrusters!
No response, Captain.
Space, the probe, past Saratoga. The distance closes rapidly. The probe size is getting awesome. The gibberish resumes, loud. Saratoga Bridge. As the gibberish reaches a loud climax, the lights go out entirely, along with all engine and electronic sounds. In the sudden darkness,
Emergency lights!
very low-level lights, baffled faces, systems checking.
Damage report.
Captain, all systems have failed. We're functioning on reserve power only.
We're out of control. Rig for collision!
Exterior space, the probe. As it bears down on Saratoga and passes massively overhead, endlessly. The probe is now recognized as miles long. It passes now and goes off into the distance. Back to the bridge.
They've finished us. We don't even know what they want.
The captain considers this, turns to the comm officer.
Give me whatever you got on the emergency channel. Starfleet Command, this is Saratoga. Can you hear me? Come in, please. Come in, please.
Space, the probe. Disappearing in the distance, the gibberish begins faintly, ominously again. Exterior San Francisco Bay Area day. The city of the 23rd century, the Golden Gate Bridge, push into Federation headquarters. Interior corridor, Federation headquarters, close on, feet, hurrying over marble floors as credits continue. Pan up now to reveal Sarek, Spock's father, moving out of shot. Interior corridor. As we pan Sarek into shot with Commander Chapel, Starfleet medical officer whose history is Star Trek, is known to all.
Thank you for coming. It's not going well.
Am I too late to testify?
I don't know.
Sarek raises an eyebrow as they start out. Interior Federation Council Chamber, angle on entry. As Sarek and Chapel enter in semi-darkness while events are taking place off-screen, they look in wonder at space, the Enterprise. As it comes toward us, only to be wrecked and torn apart by a series of explosions. Back to Sarek Chapel. Odd, seeing his face for the first time. Angle, giant screen. As Enterprise streaks to its fiery death, watched in long shot by Kirk and crew. Then, as Kirk's face is seen close. There! Hold the image, hold! As Kirk's image freezes, pull back to reveal Interior Federation Council chamber full. A doomed room in which the Federation Council and its president sit at a long table before the Federation seal. There is a gallery of representatives from various planets. The screen on which Kirk's image is frozen is centrally located, and at a spotlit glass podium stands the Klingon ambassador pointing.
Travis?
Oh, I'm Klingon voice. Oh, yes. There! Hold the image, hold!
Nope. No, we're down to Klingon.
Behold! The quintessential devil in these matters, James T. Kirk, renegade and terrorist. Not only is he responsible for the murder of a Klingon crew, the theft of a Klingon vessel, see now the real plot and intentions.
Various angles in room and on screen. Kirk, on screen, introduces the Genesis device and its awesome visuals, Star Trek 2 and 3. Many people in the room have never seen the secret material and react accordingly, and the Klingon continues his tirade.
Even as the Federation negotiated a peace treaty with us, Kirk was secretly developing the Genesis torpedo, convinced by Kirk's son and tested donated by the Admiral himself. The result of this awesome energy was called the Genesis planet, a secret base from which the annihilation of the Klingon people. We demand the extradition of Kirk. We demand justice.
Klingon justice is a unique point of view, Mr. President.
As the audience stirs, Sarek descends the stairs.
Genesis was perfectly named, the creation of life, not death. It was the Klingons who had first blood while trying to possess its secrets.
Travis, that's still you.
Klingon.
Oh, yes. Hold on, my computer's fucking up. Okay, okay. The Vulcans are well known as the intellectual puppets of the Federation.
Your vessel did destroy USS Grissom. Your men did kill Kirk's son. Do you deny
We
these
deny
events?
nothing. We have the right to preserve our race.
Do you have the right to commit murder?
The gallery erupts in reaction, and the council president gavels them to silence.
Order! There will be no further outbursts from the floor.
Mr. President, I have come to speak on behalf of the accused.
Personal bias. His son was saved by Kirk.
The president remains calm amid the buzzing. Then,
Mr. Ambassador, with all respect, the council's deliberations are over. You have been allowed to speak in order to put your views on the record. The Kirk goes unpunished. Admiral Kirk has been charged with 9 violations of Starfleet regulations. Starfleet regulations? Outrageous! Remember this. There will be no peace as long as Kirk lives.
and with a flourish, he exits with his staff as the assembly murmurs. Then,
Serica Vulcan, with all respect, we have you to return Kirk and his crew to answer for their crimes.
With respect to you, Mr. President, there is only one crime, denying Kirk and his crew the honors they so richly deserve.
You are welcome to remain and testify.
he gavels the meeting to its end. Credits conclude. Space, the planet Vulcan, moving in. A great red sphere.
Captain's log, stardate 8390.
Exterior Vulcan, bird of prey, high shot. Camera moves in. The Klingon ship rests on its landing pad. The crew gathered outside as in a meeting.
We are in the 3rd month of our Vulcan exile. We are uncertain about the progress of Captain Spock's memory training, and it was Dr. McCoy, with a fine sense of historical irony, who decided on a name for our captured Klingon vessel.
Exterior landing pad close. Bird of prey, near ramp. The words HMS Bounty have been hand-painted on the side of the open bay doors. Camera moves toward the gathered captain and crew.
And like those mutineers of 500 years ago, we too have a hard choice to make. A choice made harder because we are all too old to suffer fools gladly. Nevertheless,
Camera pans as Kirk calls the roll. Bones, Scotty, Uhura, Chekhov, Sulu, each raises a hand and holds it. Kirk now says,
let the record show that the commander and the crew of the late Starship Enterprise have voted unanimously to return to Earth to face the consequences of their actions in the rescue of their comrade, Captain Spock. Thank you all. Repair stations, please.
as they disperse.
Mrs. Scott, how soon can we get underway?
Hey, give me one more day, sir. The damage control is easy. Reading Klingon is hard.
Kirk nods. Scotty heads inside. Bones hangs back sorely.
You'd think they could at least send a ship. Bad enough to be court-martialed and spend the rest of our lives mining borite, but to come home in this Klingon flea trap.
We could learn a thing or two from this flea trap. It has a cloaking device that costs us a lot.
I just wish we could cloak the stench.
And he starts off, widen as Kirk turns to Lieutenant Savick, dressed in Vulcan attire.
Admiral, I'd like to continue my work on the ship until you leave.
Thank you, Lieutenant Savick.
And here is a disposition I have made. It is not sufficient. I will return to Earth to testify.
Don't concern yourself, Savick. Your leave has been granted for good and proper cause. How are you feeling?
I am well, Admiral.
You'll be in good hands here.
They exchange a look, and she starts in, leaving him alone in thought. Then he slowly, almost secretly looks upward. He stares uncertainly at the mountain above. High promontory above, up-angled, a figure. We slow zoom to the hooded figure. It is Spock watching impassively. After a long moment, he turns and leaves. Interior Spock's test chamber, close on 3 screens. They form a computer console like a great pipe organ, with a bank of keys. On each screen are the words, memory testing interrupted. Pull back as Spock enters, sits thoughtfully. Then he places a small lightweight headset on.
Resume.
What follows happens rapidly. Questions appear on all 3 screens. The tempo increases through the sequence to a crescendo. Spock takes it all on in stride, answering questions by keyboard or verbally without being flapped. Evaluate and conclude. A starship's sensors indicate it is being pursued so closely that it occupies the same space as its pursuer. Answer. The warp drive regulators are creating a parallax matter echo. Abruptly, the hectic pace stops. There is a beat of silence. Then, on all 3 screens come the legend, memory test satisfactory. Then, ready for final question. Spock is ready. How do you feel? Spock sees it on all 3 screens and feels baffled. The questions begin to flash impatiently.
I do not understand.
He stares at the flashing question. He becomes aware of someone in the room. He turns to see his mother, Amanda.
I do not understand the final question.
You are half human. The computer knows that.
The question and your outfit are irrelevant.
Spock, the retraining of your mind has been in the Vulcan way, so you may not understand feelings. But as my son, you have them. They will surface.
As you wish, since you deem them of value, but I cannot wait here to find them.
Where must you go?
To Earth, to offer testimony.
You do this for friendship?
I do this because I was there.
Spock, does the good of the many outweigh the good of the one?
I would accept that as an axiom.
Then you stand here alive because of a mistake made by your friends, feeling human friends. They have sacrificed their fixtures because they believed that the good of the one, you, was more important to them.
Humans make illogical decisions.
They do, indeed.
Spock cocks his head, still baffled by this contradiction. Space, the probe. It passes camera innocently emitting its call. No cause for alarm. Except as the probe passes into the distance, we see it is headed directly for the blue marble, Earth. Exterior San Francisco, 23rd century, day. The sun is shining. Move along the Golden Gate Bridge toward Starfleet headquarters. Interior Starfleet Command, day. Large windows overlook the bay, but in the midsection of the room, high-tech displays monitor the universe. The scene and the tension are feverish. One of the communicators is Lieutenant Rand, formerly of the Enterprise crew. Commander Chapel is also present. A verbal babble and visual reports at hectic pace. Admiral Morrow, Starfleet Commander, presides. The Council President enters.
Status report, Admiral.
Mr. President, the probe has passed through all quadrants. The starships Shepherd's and Yorktown and 3 smaller vessels have been neutralized.
Neutralized. How?
We don't know. It's using forms of energy our best scientists do not understand.
Can you protect us?
We're launching everything we have.
As the President reacts to this, exterior space dock. The great rotating satellite, home of grand spaceships. Interior space dock control booth overlooking spacecraft. 2 controllers back to us sit in the control seats. They control several starships in the background.
Extolizer and Intrepid are cleared to depart. Open space dock doors.
Excelsior!
Oh yeah, Excelsior, that's what I said. Excelsior and Intrepid are cleared to depart. Open space dock doors. It's my first day on the job.
Over this, the sound of the probe's signal is heard. Almost immediately, Controller 2 is in big trouble. Sir, space dock's doors are inoperative.
Keep trying. Excelsior and Intrepid stand by. Malfunctions on exit door.
Control, Intrepid, never mind, we can't get powered up.
The two controllers look at each other as the sound of the probe's gibberish comes in at deafening volume. Space doors not responding. All emergency systems are non-functional. All over Space Dock, lights are dimming.
Engage reserve powers, Starfleet Command. This is Spock Dock on emergency channel. We have lost all internal power. Repeat, we have lost all power.
Space, the probe entering Earth orbit. The probe's thrusters fire and it slows to orbit the blue marble below. Closer angle, the probe. As the antenna rotate to face the Earth as the gibberish comes on loud. Exterior ocean surface. An amazing effect. The sound, like the prow of an invisible boat, cuts the surface of the ocean, leaving not a wake of water, but a rising cloud. Series of shots. We intercut between the probe's transmissions and the impact on the water surfaces of Earth to create a clear impression. Cloud cover is slowly forming as ocean water is being transformed into cloud vapor by the sound. Interior Starfleet Command. View screen included. The dignitaries are stunned to see the cloud cover totally enveloping their planet. Exterior Vulcan sunrise. Long shadows over the red planet. Exterior Bird of Prey, dawn. The HMS Bounty sits alone in the morning light. Interior Bird of Prey, bridge. Renovated and spruced up by the Enterprise crew. Camera follows Kirk as he inspects the pre-launch activity.
Systems report. Communications?
Communication systems ready. Communications officer? Ready as she'll ever be.
Mr. Sulu.
Guidance is functional. Onboard computer will interface with Federation memory bank.
Weapon systems?
Operational, Admiral. Cloaking device now available in all modes of flight.
I'm impressed, Mr. Chekhov. A lot of effort for a short voyage.
We are in an enemy vessel, sir. I didn't wish to be shot down on this way to our own funeral.
Most prudent. Engine room. Report, Scotty.
Interior engine room, Bird of Prey. Our first look in this cavern. In addition to the transporter and engine areas, there is a large cargo hold.
We're ready, sir. I've converted the dilithium sequencer to something less primitive. And Admiral, I've replaced the Klingon food packs. They was giving me a sour stomach.
Back to bridge.
Appreciated by all, Mrs. Scott. Prepare for departure.
As the crew chatters through the pre-launch checklist, Kirk crosses to Saavik near the exit doors. Her work finished.
Well, Saavik, I guess this is goodbye.
Yes, Admiral, sir. I have not had the opportunity to tell you about your son. David died most bravely. He saved Spock. He saved us all. I thought you should know.
Kirk wants to know, but is deeply moved. At last, he reaches for her shoulders, holds on affectionately. After a moment, they separate. We follow Saavik to the garb, stands in the open doorway, looking back at Saavik. A moment, then...
Good day, Captain Spock. May your journey be free of incident.
Live long and prosper, Lieutenant.
She looks back at Kirk for the briefest moment, then exits. Spock has started forward to Kirk. Angle, Spock, and Kirk.
Permission to come aboard.
Permission granted.
Thank you, Admiral.
Jim, Spock. Jim, remember?
It would be improper to refer to you as Jim while you were in command, Admiral. Also, I must apologize for my attire. I seem to have misplaced my uniform.
Well, I find that understandable. I mean, you've been through a lot. Station, please.
Spock nods and somewhat rigidly crosses to the science station. Kirk watches, uncertain. Bones is suddenly by his side, whispering.
You sure this is such a bright idea?
What do you mean?
I mean him, back at his post, like nothing happened. I don't know if you get the whole picture, but he isn't exactly working on all thrusters.
It'll come back to him.
Are you sure? That's what I thought.
Mrs. Sulu, take us home.
The whine of the engine of the energizers begins. The engines come alive. Exterior launch pad, dawn, the ramp. As Savick walks away without looking back, the wind and roar of the engines, she walks to a waiting Amanda. Exterior launching pad, bird of prey. With a roar and a belch of rocketry, the bird of prey lifts off and starts its journey. Close, Savick and Amanda. Wind blown, they watch as exterior Vulcan Canyon, bird of prey. The bird disappears among the canyons of Vulcan. Interior Starfleet Command, screen and graphics. Pull back, it is bedlam. Data is pouring in from every corner of the Earth. All the visuals and audio reports combine to create a trend that is inescapable.
Juneau, Alaska, cloud cover increased to 95%.
Tokyo, total cloud cover, all powers from reserve banks.
Leningrad has lost electrical power. Cloud cover 100%. Temperatures dropping rapidly.
As the reports continue on screens and on sound.
Travis.
What is estimate cloud cover of the planet at this time? I'll try again. What is estimate cloud cover of the planet of this time?
93.2%. Probe now orbiting South Pacific. Estimate total cloud cover by next orbit. No known way to dissipate cloud cover.
Notify all stations. Starfleet emergency red alert. Switch power immediately to planetary reserves.
The sound of the probe is heard throughout, like the death knell. Morrow turns to the president and says privately,
Mr. President, even with planetary reserves, we couldn't survive without the sun.
I am well aware of that, Admiral.
Now the president steps to the great window where Sarek is watching the world of San Francisco. Rain has begun to streak the window.
Sarek, is there no reason we can give this probe?
It is difficult to answer if you do not understand the question. Mr. President, perhaps you should transmit a planet distress signal while we still have time.
The president looks at Sarek deeply. If his old wise friend has no answer, what hope is there? And did you want to pause? Hunter has to check on his dog. Exterior space, bird of prey. As it passes us at high speed, interior bridge, bird of prey, past Sulu and Kirk. Estimating planet Earth 1.6 hours present speed.
Continue on course. Chekhov. Any signs of Federation escort?
No, sir. No, and no Federation vessels on assigned patrol stations.
That's odd. Uhura. What's on the comms channels?
Very active, sir. Multi-phase transmissions overlapping. Almost gibberish. Let me see if I can sort it out.
She sets to work intently. Spock reacts, picks up an earpiece to listen in. Perhaps he's helpful. Perhaps be helpful. Bones. He sees Spock at science station, takes this opportunity to walk to his old comrade, break the silence of months.
Hi. Busy?
Uhura is busy. I am monitoring.
Well, just wanted to say, nice to have your Catra back in your head, not mine. I mean, I may have carried your soul, but I sure couldn't fill your shoes.
My shoes.
Forget it. How about covering a little philosophical ground? Life, death, things of that nature?
I did not have time on Vulcan to review the philosophical disciplines.
Spock, it's me, Bones. I mean, our experience was unique. You really have gone to where no man has gone before. Can't you tell me what it felt like?
It would be impossible to discuss the subject without a common frame of reference.
You're joking.
A joke is a story with a humorous climax.
You mean I have to die to discuss our insights on death?
Pardon me, Doctor. I'm hearing many calls of distress.
Bones is enraged and frustrated by this as we go to favoring Aurora's station as Kirk arrives in response to her wave.
What is it?
Overlapping distress calls, some from Starship. Others?
On screen.
On screen, we have the option of playing fragments of distress calls from Saratoga and other vessels, but these fragments are ultimately superseded by the tearing image of the Federation president. Some of his message will be obscured until Uhura can find a balance.
This President of grave warning, do not approach planet Earth to all starships. Repeat, do not approach. Orbiting probe emits transmissions on energy wave unknown to us. We've directed at our oceans, ionized our atmosphere. All power sources have failed. Starships are powerless. A cloud envelope has enveloped the planet. Heavy rain and flooding, temperature dropping to critical level. Planet cannot survive unless probe is responded to. Probe transmissions dominate all standard channels. Communications may not be possible. Save yourselves. Avoid the planet Earth. Farewell.
Spock, what do you make of it?
Most unusual. An unknown form of energy of great intelligence and power. I find it illogical that its intentions are hostile.
Really? You think this is its way of saying hi there to the people of Earth?
There are millions of other species on Earth, Doctor. Only human arrogance would assume the message was meant for man.
I liked him better before he died.
Bones.
Damn it, Jim. They made him into a goddamn green-blooded computer.
And as Bones stalks off,
Spock, you're suggesting the transmission is meant for a life form other than man.
A distinct possibility, Admiral. The President did say the transmission was directed at the Earth's oceans.
Uhura, can you modify the probe's signals by accounting for density, temperature, and salinity factors?
I can try, sir.
now begins a virtuoso performance by Uhura, a series of sound changes accounting for all the factors, a feeling of a deductive process, modifying the gibberish by slowing it down and changing it until.
I think I have it, sir.
The bridge is filled with a sound familiar to some in our audience, but baffling to our 23rd century friends.
Then this is what it would sound like underwater.
Yes, sir.
Fascinating. If my suspicion is correct, there can be no response to this message.
As this impacts, he rises abruptly and heads for the door.
Where are you going?
To the onboard computer room to confirm my suspicion.
Spock turns and is gone. Beat. Kirk starts after him, followed by Bones. Kirk turns back to Bones.
Bones, stay here.
No way. Somebody's got to keep an eye on him.
The orbiting probe above Earth. The ultimate condition statement. Below the probe, the planet has become a gray-black enshrouded ball. Pinpoint lightning flashes can be seen as tiny Christmas lights, and the probe's sound goes on. Interior Starfleet Command, favoring display screens. Above the din of the probe's call and the shouts and chatter of the officers, the screens convey a series of terrible images, some deteriorating. Clouds tumbling abnormally in response to the probe's call build up massive thunderheads, split by lightning and thunder. A familiar landmark, the Leaning Tower, the Sphinx, is seen against gray-black tumbling clouds. Rain has begun to fall heavily. The Sphinx appears to be crying. A dam cracks. The torrents of water pour into the valley below, all under leaden skies. San Francisco Bay, dark with giant clouds, whipping wind and rain. Lightning crackles on top the Golden Gate. As we widen from the screen, we are in the midst of bedlam. Morrow trying to chatter orders. The president trying vainly to be heard on a comm channel. Commander Chapel urgently directing medical and evacuation efforts. Angle at great window. The rain howls outside. The water is beginning to spray in through the seals. A crew, drenched, is attempting to shore up the window itself. Interior computer room. Bird of prey, close screen. As the probe's modified call is heard, a whale song, a series of graphic images present themselves on screen. The computer's search narrows down to whales and then specific species thereof. In short order, the computer finds a match, and a line drawing of a great whale appears. A printout indicates Megaptera novianglii. As this is occurring, angle widens to include Kirk and Bones watching intently behind Spock.
Spock.
As suspected, the probe's transmissions are the song sung by Kirstie Alley.
What?
I'm sorry, she's been replaced for now, but is there another species that perhaps it might match?
Perhaps by whales.
Whales.
On screen, humpback whale begins flashing to replace the Latin species name.
Specifically, humpback whales.
That's crazy. Who would send a probe hundreds of light years to talk to a whale?
It's impossible. Whales were on Earth far earlier than man.
As data continues to flash on screen,
10 million years earlier, humpbacks were heavily hunted by man. They have been extinct since the 21st century. It is possible that an alien intelligence sent the probe to determine why they lost contact.
My God.
Spock, could the humpback's answer to this call be simulated?
The sounds, but not the language. We would be responding in gibberish.
Is there any other planet where this species exists?
The humpback was indigenous to Earth, Earth of the past.
That leaves us no choice. We must destroy the probe before it destroys Earth.
That would be futile, Admiral. The probe would neutralize us easily.
But we can't turn away. Is there no alternative?
There is one, but I cannot guarantee its success. We could attempt to find some humpback whales.
You just said there aren't any except on Earth of the past.
That is what I said, Doctor.
Then how?
he trails off, seeing Kirk deep in thought.
Now, wait just a minute.
Spock, start your computations for the time warp. Come on, Bones. Let's pay Scotty a visit.
Interior cargo bay, Kirk and Scotty, striding through a vast cargo area. Bones follows.
Scotty, how long is this bay?
About 60 feet, Admiral.
That should be enough. Can you enclose it to hold water?
Suppose I can, sir, but are you planning to take a swim?
Off the deep end, Mr. Scott.
As Scotty puzzles,
Scotty, we have to find some humpbacks.
Humpbacks. People.
Whales, Scotty. 45 to 50 feet long, about 40 tons apiece.
Admiral, how am I going to handle all that weight?
You'll work it out, Scotty. And remember, 2 of them.
2!
It takes 2 to tango, Mr. Scott.
and with a confident grin, Kirk exits, pursued by Bones.
Ah, the great flood of Noah's Ark, and what a way to finally go.
Another angle of the cargo bay as Bones catches up with Kirk.
You're really going to try time travel in this rust bucket?
We've done it before.
Sure, slingshot around the sun. If you pick up enough speed, you're in time warp. If you don't, you fry.
Would you prefer to do nothing?
And Kirk passes through the cargo bay into interior neck corridor, bird of prey. Bones pursues Kirk on the way to the bridge.
I prefer a dose of common sense. You're proposing a herd backwards in time, find humpback whales, then bring them forward in time, drop them off, and hope that they tell this probe what to do with itself.
That's the general idea.
That's crazy.
If you have a better idea, now's the time.
There is a pause. Bones does not have a better idea. Interior bridge, bird of prey. The doors open. Kirk strides in, Bones following.
Mrs. Spock, your computations.
In progress, Admiral.
Uhura, get me through to Starfleet Command.
Exterior San Francisco Bay. Waves crash against the bridge posts and the shoreline. Wind roars, lightning, thunder, crackle, and rumble. Interior Starfleet Command. Torrential rain at the window. Lightning reflects deep into the room. The situation screens have become erratic. Technicians scurry desperately, and there is chatter overlapping from all. Through this,
Comm officer.
Sure. Sir, I'm picking up a faint transmission. It's Admiral Kirk
On
calling.
screen. Oh, on screen.
but at this moment, the entire situation display goes fuzzy, distorts, and is gone.
Satellite reserve power now.
The board starts up again, but dimmer, more erratic. A distorted image of Kirk appears on screen. We will not hear every word.
Analysis. Protocol. Captain Spock. Opinion. Extent. Species. Humpback whale. Proper response. Did you read me?
Stabilize. Emergency reserve.
As the comm officer responds, Sarek steps up beside Morrow. Now Kirk's image clears enough to see.
Starfleet, if you read, we are going to attempt time travel. We are computing our trajectory at this time.
But suddenly the power fails. Kirk's image is gone. A silence as they stare at the blank screen.
Good luck, Kirk. And all you go with you. And all you go with you. Yes.
The interruption is sudden. The entire great window facing the bay crashes inward, filling the room with debris, cries, and howling wind. Exterior space, bird of prey. Cloud-covered earth is distant beat background. The ship passes us. Pan to see she's heading for the sun. Interior bird of prey bridge.
Ready to engage computer, Admiral.
What is the target in
The
time?
late 20th century.
Oh, exactly when this film will be released. Surely you can be more specific.
Not with this equipment. I've had to program some of the variables from memory.
What are the variables?
Availability of fuel components, mass of the vessel through a time continuum, and the probable location of humpbacks, in this case, the Pacific Basin.
You program that from memory.
I have.
Angels and ministers of grace defend us.
Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 4.
Mrs. Spock, none of us has doubts about your memory. Engage computer. Prepare for warp speed.
Exterior space, bird of prey. Her wings move to their sleekest position as she continues her course to the sun. Interior bird of prey bridge.
Shields, Mr. Chekhov.
Shields, aye.
May fortune favor the foolish. Mrs. Sulu. Warp speed.
Exterior space, series of shots. The bird of prey explodes into warp. She blurs past our eyes several times, gaining speed toward the sun. Intercut, bridge. Warp 2, 3.
Steady as she goes.
On view screen, the sun is getting larger. Vibration begins on the bridge and increases markedly with speed. Warp 5, 7.
I don't think she'll hold together, sir.
No choice now, Scotty.
Sir, heat shields at maximum.
Warp 9, 9.2, 9.3.
Mrs. Sulu, we need breakaway speed.
Hang on, sir. 9.7, 0.8. Breakaway threshold.
Steadying. Now, Mrs. Sulu.
Space series of shots, the slingshot. Just as the bird appears certain to be swallowed by the sun, a blast of some kind accelerates the ship along the far curve of the great star. Solar flares lick at the bright blur as she arcs suddenly behind the sun, whipping almost faster than we can see, and, like a tracer bullet on a circular course, a bright blur emerges from the opposite side of the sun and starts back toward Earth. Exterior space, bird of prey. We are behind the ship, chasing and closing rapidly as it sizzles through space. We overtake the ship until the blue-white heat of the engines fills the screen. Interior bird of prey bridge. From the rear, as camera continues moving in toward Kirk sitting in his chair. As the back of Kirk's head fills the screen, time travel sequence subjective. We are inside Kirk's mind as we see a series of hypnotic dream images floating up from Kirk's subconscious, undulating figures which float toward us and pass, liquid faces, amorphous figures, images of Kirk's shipmates in semi-transparent ghostly shapes, aging and repressing, Kirk's image of himself running toward himself, underwater looking up at a sunlight-dappled surface, gently waving strands of reeds at an abstract shoreline. Disembodied voices, sounds, and music add to the hypnotic effect, and then a whooshing roar begins to mount and grow louder until it climaxes with a terrible bang, and we, exterior space, starfield, empty a moment, then the bird of prey descends into the shot, no longer glowing, tranquil in flight. Interior bird of prey, bridge.
Mrs. Sulu. Mr. Sulu,
Hi, sir.
what is our condition?
Sir, braking thrusters seem to have fired.
Picture, please.
On screen, the spectacle of Earth as seen from high orbit, NASA material. Awesome.
Earth, but when? Spark.
Judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived at the late 20th century.
Well done, Mrs. Spark.
Admiral, I'm receiving whale songs.
On speakers.
Sure enough.
Home in on the strongest signal. Descend from orbit.
Admiral, if I may, we're probably visible to the tracking devices of the time.
Quite right, Spark. Mr. Chekhov, engage cloaking device.
Exterior space, bird of prey. Descending the ship via the cloaking device disappears. Interior bird of prey, bridge. We are crossing the Terminator into night.
Homing in on the west coast of North America.
Oh, sorry. Individual whale song getting stronger. This is strange, Admiral. The song is directly ahead. It's coming from San Francisco.
From a city. That doesn't make sense.
Perhaps they are stranded in the bay, sir? Or in captivity?
Admiral, you and Spock better get down here.
Continue approach.
Interior bird of prey engine room, close, power console, as shot. Within a shielded subroom, we can see through a window dilithium crystals. They are beautiful, but they're dim. Widen as Scotty tells Kirk and Spock.
They're giving out, decrystallizing.
Give me a round figure, Mrs. Scott.
Oh, 24 hours, give or take. Staying cloaked after that, Admiral will be visible, dead in the water. In any case, we won't have enough to break out of Earth's gravity, not to say nothing about getting back home.
Kirk scowls at the crystals.
I appreciate the ticking clock, but I can't believe we've come this far only to be stopped by this. Scotty, is there any way dilithium can be recrystallized?
Sorry, sir, we can't even do that in the 23rd century.
There is a 20th century possibility.
Explain.
If memory serves, there was a dubious flirtation with nuclear fission reactors, resulting in toxic side effects. By the beginning of the fusion era, these reactors had been replaced, but at this time, we should be able to find some.
But you said toxic.
We could rig a device to collect their high-energy photons safely. We could then inject the photons into the dilithium chamber, causing crystalline restructure. Theoretically.
Where would we find these reactors? Theoretically.
Nuclear power was widely used in naval vessels.
Kirk looks at him, thinking. Exterior San Francisco, down-angled POV, night. The city alive with lights. We are descending. The bridge. The footage is seen on screen. Kirk is on station. They are all watching.
It doesn't look all that different.
Let's hope so, Bones. Mr. Sulu, set us down in Golden Gate Park.
Aye, sir. Descending.
You're right there, Uhura. All right, we'll divide into teams. Commanders Chekhov and Uhura are assigned to the uranium problem.
Yes, sir.
Dr. McCoy, you, Mrs. Scott, and Commander Sulu will convert us a well tank.
Oh, joy.
Captain Spock and I will attempt to trace these whale songs to their source.
I'll have bearing and distance for you, sir.
Right. Now look, I want you all to be very careful. This is Terra Incognita. Many customs will doubtless take us by surprise. It's a foregone conclusion these people have never seen an extraterrestrial before.
Everyone looks at Spock. He arches an eyebrow, reaches into his robe and pulls out a strip of lining which he ties around his head, concealing his ears and making him look like a Japanese gentleman in samurai dress.
Sure, this is an extremely primitive and paranoid culture. Mr. Chekhov, issue a phaser and communicator to each team. We'll maintain radio silence except in emergency. All transmission to proceed by 3 coded bleeps. Anyone in uniform, get rid of your rank insignia. Any questions? Alright, let's do our job and get out of here. Our own world is waiting for us to save it if we can.
Exterior Golden Gate Park, night. A garbage truck is stopped as 2 garbage men empty park trash cans into the rear of the truck.
So I told her, if you think I'm laying out $60 for a goddamn toaster oven, you got another thing coming.
So what'd she say? Before he can answer, a mighty wind comes up. We're talking Hurricane Gloria at 150 miles per hour. It's all they can do to hang on to the truck for dear life, squinting in the direction of the wind. After a couple of moments, the wind dies as quickly as it arose.
What the fuck was that?
But both are now taken by a weird sound, and they look to see. Exterior park night. The ramp of the bird of prey descends, the only visible part of the ship. Kirk and his crew descend, backlit. Back to the truck. The garbage men stare in disbelief. Number 1 starts for the cab, grabs number 2, who's frozen, and they scramble into the truck, fumble for the starter, and roar away. Interior truck. Did you see that?
No, neither did you, so shut up.
Rude. Back to ramp. As the truck roars off in the distance, Kirk and the crew search the ground. The ramp closes, restoring normal light.
We'll stick together till we get oriented, bearing to the whales.
283 degrees, 15.2 kilometers.
Everyone remember where we parked.
And they move off. Exterior downtown San Francisco, various shots. Culture shock, bustling traffic and people. Our dowdy band moves through the scene in awe and wonder, taking in sights and sounds. They are little noticed by passersby. Their dress may be a little odd, but this is San Francisco. Now they stop in front of a new news machine. POV, the headline, the San Francisco Chronicle. Nuclear arms talks stalled. Back to scene.
It's a miracle these people ever got out of the 23rd century.
A man steps to the machine, inserts coins, takes a paper. Kirk frowns.
Damn, they're still using money. We're going to need some.
He looks around in thought, sees his POV antique store. We buy and sell. Back to scene.
You people wait here and spread out. We look like a cadet review. Spock.
The group spreads out self-consciously as Spock follows Kirk across the street. In mid-street, a car squeals to a stop to avoid hitting Kirk.
Watch where you're going, you dumbass.
And double dumbass on you.
Spock reacts to this language. Exterior, the other side of the street. The rest of the crew, having spread out per Kirk's instructions, are waiting as a young Japanese boy passes Sulu, does a double take, and comes up to him. The scene will be played in Japanese with English subtitles.
Wow. Oki-chan, Akira, Oki-chan, do I know? I can't.
Translation trap.
Oh, yeah. At least I tried.
I appreciate it.
Is that you? What are you doing here? I'm sorry. What?
That's
Oh,
Sulu.
that's not. That ain't me.
Get out of here.
That's the guy we're talking
No,
to.
I'm sorry, my son. You have mistaken me for someone else.
And
Hold on. There we go. Yes, this must be true. You talk funny.
He starts to back away apologetically, but Sulu stops him. Wait, my son. What is your name?
Sulu Hikaru.
Ah, then I am sure you will have a long and happy life.
Thank you, honorable sir.
The boy departs and Bone steps to Sulu.
Who was that?
That, doctor, was my great-great-grandfather. On McCoy's reaction, we cut to interior antique store. The owner examines Kirk's glasses, now shattered.
Yes, they're 18th century American. Quite valuable. Are you sure you want to part with them?
How much will you give me?
As the owner examines the glasses,
Weren't those a birthday present from Dr. McCoy?
Will be again, Spock. That's the beauty of it. How much?
Well, they'd be worth a lot more if the lenses were intact, but I'll give you $200, take it or leave it.
Is that a lot?
exterior another street corner, as Kirk divides the money.
That's all there is, so nobody splurge. Are we set? Then, good hunting.
And they divide into teams and start off. We stay with Kirk and Spock as they begin walking.
Well, Spock, thanks to your restored memory and a little bit of luck, we are in the streets of San Francisco looking for a pair of humpback whales. How do you propose to solve this minor problem?
Simple logic will suffice. We need a map. That one should do.
He leads Kirk to a system map in a bus stop enclosure.
I will juxtapose our coordinates on this map and find our destination.
He starts to, but the map is diagrammatic and very puzzling to Spock. As he struggles with its illogic, a bus pulls up. On the side is an ad. See George and Gracie, the only two humpback whales in captivity at the Cetacean Institute, Sausalito. Cetacean. Kirk smiles.
I think we'll find what we're looking for at the Cetacean Institute in Sausalito. Two humpbacks called George and Gracie.
How do you know this?
Simple logic.
Angle at bus door. Kirk, followed by Spock, enters. The door closes, but the bus does not start. Camera pans along bus to the rear exit door, which opens, disgorging a frustrated Kirk and a puzzled Spock.
What does it mean, exact change?
Exterior street day. Bones, Scotty, and Sulu.
Would you mind telling me how we plan to convert this tank?
Ordinarily, I'd do it with some piece of transparent aluminum.
You're about 150 years too early for that.
I know. We've got to find the 20th century equivalent.
What about that? They look off. Rack focus to a billboard. Can't find it? Try the yellow pages. Interior phone booth, close on phone book. A finger runs down one of the white pages, finds something, snaps the book shut. Widen to reveal Chekhov emerging from the booth, Uhura waiting.
Find it?
Yes, under U.S. government, now we need direction.
He steps forward, stops a passerby.
Excuse me, sir. Can you direct me to the Navy base in Alameda?
The Navy base?
Yes, where they keep the nuclear vessels.
Interior bus day. Kirk and Spock are riding across the Golden Gate Bridge. In front of them, a punker listens to a ghetto blaster so loudly that every time Kirk tries to talk, he can't be heard. Finally, he leans forward and shouts,
I hate you! And I
Excuse me!
hate you!
Can you please stop that sound?
Sorry, one second. In response, the punker flips him the finger. In response to which, Spock gives the punker a Vulcan nerve pinch and disarms the radio. Other passengers applaud. Kirk and Spock settle into their seats.
As you observed, a primitive culture.
Yes.
Admiral, may I ask you a question?
Spock, don't call me Admiral. Don't you remember? You used to call me Jim. Now what's your question?
Your use of language has altered since our arrival. It is currently laced with, shall I say, more colorful metaphors. Double dumbass on you and so
You
forth.
mean profanity? That's simply the way they talk here. Nobody pays any attention to you if you don't swear every other word. You'll find it in all the literature of the period.
For example.
Kirk thinks.
Oh, the complete works of Jacqueline Susan, the novels of Harold Robbins.
Ah, the giants.
Exterior Maritime Cetacean Institute. Day. The bus pulls up and disgorges Kirk, Spock, and a few other visitors. They head for the impressive building. Interior Institute main room. Day. Large, beautiful, with great hanging replicas of whales dominating. A tour group has gathered, and Dr. Gillian Taylor, perkily attractive, enters to take charge.
Good morning, good morning. I'm your tour guide this morning. Tour guide. My name's Dr. Jillian Taylor, but you can call me Jillian. I'm Assistant Director of the Maritime Cetacean Institute. Please follow me, and if you just give a yell if you can't hear, okay?
She starts off, I'll follow.
The Cetacean Institute is the only museum in the world exclusively devoted to whales. As you can see, we have a great seal to offer. Great seal to offer. But that is small compared to what we know, or rather, what we don't know about whales. The first commonly misheld misconception is that the whales are fish. They're not. They're mammals just like us, warm-blooded and needing air to breathe and producing milk to nurse their young. They're very old mammals, approximately 11 million years, give or take.
During the spiel, Taylor notices Kirk. In an odd way, they connect. He's attractive, even in his odd clothes, and he pays stricter attention than the average Joe.
The whales attack people like in Moby Dick.
Most whales don't even have teeth. They strain vast amounts of tiny shrimp for food. That is the limit of their hostility. Unfortunately, their principal enemy is far more aggressive.
You mean, man.
To put it mildly, since the dawn of time, men have harvested whales for a variety of purposes, most of which can be achieved synthetically synthetically at this point. 100 years ago, using hand-thrown harpoons, they did plenty of damage, but that was nothing to compare what they've achieved in this century.
Jillian pushes a button and screens modern whale hunt footage. Pretty gruesome stuff.
This is mankind's legacy. Whales hunted to the brink of extinction. Virtually gone is the blue whale, the largest creature ever to inhabit the earth. And despite all attempts at banning whaling, there are still countries and pirates currently engaged in the slaughter of these inoffensive creatures. Where the humpback whale once numbered in the hundreds of thousands, today there are less than 7,000 specimens alive, and those that are taken are no longer fully grown. In addition, many of the females are killed still bearing unborn calves.
The pictures graphically illustrate what she's talking about.
To hunt a species to extinction is not logical.
Whoever said the human race was logical? Now, if you follow me, I'll introduce you to the Institute's pride and joy.
They start after her. Exterior whale tank. Day.
This is the largest seawater tank in the world, and it contains the only two humpback whales in captivity.
The two whales undulate majestically. They are colossal. Kirk and Spock react in awe.
They are mature humpbacks weighing 45,000 pounds each. They wandered into San Francisco Bay as calves and were brought here. We call them George and Gracie.
It's perfect, Spock. A male and a female together in a contained space can beam them up together and consider ourselves damn lucky.
Spock reacts oddly to this.
Beautiful, aren't they? And extremely intelligent. Why shouldn't they be? They're swimming around with the largest brains on Earth. Now, if you'll follow me, please.
The group enters the building. Spock hangs back. Kirk does not notice his absence. Interior building as Jillian continues the tour.
Despite all the things they are teaching us, we still have to return George and Gracie to the open sea.
And why is that?
Well, for one thing, we simply don't have the money to keep feeding them a couple tons of shrimp a day.
How soon?
Soon. It's too bad because they're very friendly, as you can see. I've grown quite attached to them. This way.
She starts down a spiral staircase that winds around the tank. The others follow, minus Spock. Angled next to the tank window, lower level. Jillian stops with her back to the tank.
Here's a much better way to see George and Gracie underwater.
Kirk has begun to look for Spock, but in vain. Interior tank underwater. As Jillian continues her spiel, camera moves in toward the whales and discovers Spock in the water, swimming to them. He approaches one and looks it in the eye. The great eye stares back. Closer angle underwater. Spock and the whale are a foot apart. Spock gently puts his hand on the whale, a mind meld. A shaft of back lightning makes the mood ethereal. Exterior tank. Over speakers, we hear whale song. The crowd reacts.
What you're hearing is whale song. It is sung by the male. He'll sing anywhere from 6 to as long as 30 minutes and then start again. In the ocean, other whales will pick up the song and pass it on.
Now Kirk sees Spock in the water behind Jillian and is in mild shock. He watches wide-eyed as Spock and the whale move through the water in mid-mind meld.
The songs change every year, but we still don't know what purpose they serve. Are they navigational? Are they part of some mating ritual? Or pure communication beyond our comprehension?
Maybe he's singing to the man.
As the woman points, Jillian turns around to see POV Spock and whale and tank. Back to scene.
What the hell? Excuse me. Wait right here.
She dashes up the stairs as Kirk desperately pursues. Exterior edge of tank. Spock climbs out and is putting on his robe as Jillian comes running to him from a distance, followed by Kirk.
Who the hell are you and what are you doing in there?
Spock turns to Kirk for guidance, but
You heard the lady.
Spock gives it his best logical shot.
Attempting the hell to communicate.
Communicate? Communicate what? You have no right to be here.
Spock hesitates.
Come on, fella, speak up.
Admiral, if we were to assume these whales are ours to do with as we please, we would be as guilty as those who caused their extinction.
Oh, okay. I don't know what this is about, but I want you guys out of here right now or I'll call the cops.
I assure you, that won't be necessary. We were only trying to help.
The hell you were, Buster. Your friend was messing up my tank and messing with my whales.
They like you very much, but they are not the hell your whales.
I suppose they told you that?
The hell they did.
Exterior road near Cetacean Institute. Kirk and Spock walking, Golden Gate Bridge in the background. Slight tension between them.
Spock,
Yes.
about these colorful metaphors we discussed, I don't think you should try to use them.
Why not?
Well, for one thing, you haven't quite got the hang of it.
I see.
And another thing, it is not always necessary to tell the truth.
I cannot tell a lie.
You don't have to lie. You could exaggerate.
Exaggerate.
You've done it before. Can't you remember?
The hell I can't.
What else did you learn from your mind meld?
They are very unhappy about the way their species have been treated by man.
They have a right to be here. Do you think they'll help us?
I believe I was successful in communicating our intentions.
I see.
Exterior whale tank day. Jillian sits on the edge, dangling her feet. George and Gracie swim back and forth next to her, blowing water that showers her. She strokes them.
It's all right. Yes, I know, it's okay. They didn't mean any harm.
The whales make noises. They are trying to tell her something. But what? Bob Briggs, director of the Institute, comes up behind her.
Heard there was some excitement.
Nah, just a couple of kooks.
Bob watches her affectionately from behind, kicks off his shoes, and, rolling up his slacks, sits down next to her with his feet in the water.
How are you doing?
Fine. Just fine.
Don't tell me fish stories, kiddo. I've known you too long.
Bob, it's tearing me apart.
I know. I feel the same thing. But we're between a rock and a hard place. We can't keep them without risking their lives, and we can't let them go without taking the same chance.
Yeah.
And finally, they're not human beings, you know. Their intelligence has in no way been proven comparable to ours.
I don't know about you, but my compassion for someone is not limited to the way my estimate of their intelligence. I mean, whales have painted the Mona. It's not. Yeah. I mean, whales may not have painted the Mona Lisa or invented the dirt bike, but they didn't ravish the land either.
Bob is rebuked. Jillian rises.
Sorry if I spoke out of turn.
Not at all. You gave me things to think about. You always do. You do sound a little wrecked. Why don't you go home and stare at the ceiling?
Why don't I?
Jillian goes off. Bob sits, then takes his feet out of the tank. Joe, an assistant, comes over. We all squared away?
Looks like it.
She's gonna go berserk.
It's for her own good, Joe. It's the only way. She'll call me names for a while, but then she'll calm down and understand.
Exterior Alameda Naval Base long shot establishing. A great aircraft carrier at dock, the naval base beyond. As camera moves in, we note from the gangplank banners and the dockside cabanas that this is USS Enterprise CVN 65, a definite Star Trek moment. Reverse, a park-like area close by, and intercut as shot. Camera moves to reveal Uhura and Chekhov's coming through the trees to discover Enterprise in the near distance, a moment between them. When Uhura whips out her tricorder and begin getting some readings. As the tricorder beeps, Chekhov pulls out the communicator.
Team leader, this is team 2. Come in, please.
I have the coordinates of the reactor.
It gives me a great sense of history.
It gives me a great sense of danger. We have to beam in next to the reactor room, not in it.
Team 2, Kirk here.
Admiral, we have found the nuclear vessel.
Exterior road, Kirk and Spock. Intercut.
Ah, well done, Team 2.
Admiral, it's the Enterprise.
Understood. What is your plan?
We will beam in tonight, collect the protons, and beam out. No one will ever know we are there.
Understood and approved. Keep me informed, Kirk. Out.
As Kirk is about to start another call on the communicator, an approaching vehicle makes him put the device away. He turns to see POV a Land Rover approaching. Interior Land Rover, day. Her POV through windshield. Kirk and Spock trudging down the road ahead. Inside car. She reacts, keeps her eyes on them, and passes them slowly enough so that they look up to see her. As she leaves them behind, she purses her lips, stops the car, considers, then she backs up. Kirk and Spock.
It's her from the Institute. If we play our cards right, we may learn when those whales are really leaving.
How will playing cards help?
The Land Rover backs into the scene. Kirk acknowledges her presence but continues walking, playing it cool. Jillian begins tracking alongside.
Well, if isn't Robin Hood and Friar Tuck.
No response.
Where you fellas heading?
Kirk eyes her, keeps walking.
Back to San Francisco.
Came all the way down here to jump in and swim with the kiddies, huh?
And there is really very little point in me trying to explain.
I buy that. What about him?
He's harmless. Back in the 60s, he was a part of the free speech movement at Berkeley. I think he did too much LSD.
You mean LDS? LDS? Are you dyslexic on top of everything else? Come on, let me give you a lift.
Clearly, yes. Because the line is LDS.
It is LDS. I have a notorious weakness for hard luck cases, and that's why I work with whales.
And I corrected it because of reasons that I cannot legally say while being recorded. We don't want to be any trouble.
Uh-huh. Yeah, send the cops your way. You've already been in that. Come on.
She stops, pushes open the door. They get in, Spock in the middle, staring straight ahead.
Thanks.
Don't mention it. And don't try anything either. I got a tire iron right here where I can get at it.
Kirk has no idea what she's talking about. Silence. Then to Spock.
So you were at Berkeley?
I was not.
Kirk rolls his eyes.
Memory problems, too.
Uh-huh. What about you? Where are you from?
Iowa.
A landlubber. Come on. What the hell were you boys really trying to do back there? Was it some kind of macho thing? If that's all, I'm going to be real disappointed. I hate the macho type.
Can I ask you something?
Go ahead.
What's going to happen when you release those whales?
Long pause. Jillian doesn't like considering this.
They're going to have to take their chances.
What does that mean exactly? Take their chances.
It means they will be at risk from whale hunters, same as the rest of the humpbacks. What did you mean when you said all of this stuff back there at the Institute about extinction?
I meant
He meant what you were saying on the tour. But if things keep on the way they're going, humpbacks will disappear forever.
That's not what he said, farm boy. Admiral, if we were to assume these whales were ours to do with as we please, we would be as guilty as those who caused, past tense, caused their extinction. I have a photographic memory. I see words.
A silence.
Are you sure it isn't time for a colorful metaphor?
You're not one of those guys from the military, are you? Trying to teach whales to retrieve torpedoes or some dipshit stuff like that?
No, ma'am, no. Dipshit.
Well, that's something. I'd let you off right here.
Gracie is pregnant.
Jillian stops the car with a squeal of brakes.
All right, who are you? And don't jerk me around anymore. I want to know how you know that.
We can't tell you. Please, just let me finish. I can tell you that we're not in the military, and technically, and that we intend no harm to the whales, technically.
Then,
In fact, we may be able to help in ways that, frankly, you couldn't possibly imagine.
or believe, I bet.
Very likely, we are not exactly catching us at our best.
That much is certain.
Silence.
You know, I've got a hunch we'd all be a lot happier talking over dinner. What do you say?
Jillian considers this for a moment. She's got nothing better to do. Finally.
You guys like Italian food?
Kirk and Spock exchange glances, mystified.
Yeah.
No.
She looks at them. What a group. Exterior plexiglass factory, Burlingame, day. A big sign, Plexicore, tells us what this place is. Interior factory work area, day. Scotty, dressed conservatively, paces back and forth. After a moment, the manager, Nichols, emerges with bones.
Professor Scott, I'm Dr. Nichols, plant manager. I'm terribly sorry, but there's been an awful mix-up. Would you believe I was never told of your visit? I tried to clear things up, Professor Scott. I explained you'd come all the way from Edinburgh on appointment to study manufacturing methods here at Plexico, but they don't seem to know anything about it.
Sorry. Don't know anything about it. I find it difficult to believe that I've come millions of miles.
Millions? Thousands. The professor's understandably upset.
Thousands of miles and invented a tour on an invited tour of inspection, only to be informed that I was never invited in the first place.
Professor Scott, if you'll...
I demand to see the owner. I demand.
Professor, just take it easy. Dr. Nichols is offering to take us around personally.
He is.
With pleasure.
Well, that's different.
If you'll follow me, Professor.
I will. Can my assistant come too?
Of course.
Scotty starts past Bones.
Don't bury yourself in the part.
Exterior plexiglass factory, big yard, day. Sulu moves the grounds where plexiglass products of all shapes and sizes.
That was break.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, God, take me away. Exterior plexiglass factory, big yard, day. Sulu moves through the grounds where plexiglass products of all shapes and sizes are stacked. In the midst of this sits a great Huey helicopter with the company logo on its side. Its pilot is working on his engine as Sulu comes up, touches the craft lovingly, stares studiously into the cockpit.
Hi.
Hi, Huey 205, isn't it?
Right on. You fly?
Oh, here and there. I flew something similar in my academy days.
All right. This is old stuff to you.
Old, yes, but interesting. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Interior Nichols cubicle day. An impressive glass-walled cubicle separating the boss from the factory chaos. Nichols leads Scotty and Bones inside.
Well, so much for our tour of our humble plant. I must say, Professor, your knowledge of engineering is most impressive. Well, back home, we call him the miracle worker. Indeed. May I offer you gentlemen anything?
A look between Bones and Scotty. Then,
Dr. Nichols. That was Russian. I might have something to offer you.
Yes.
I noticed you're still working with polymers.
Still. What else would I be working with?
What else indeed? Let me put it another way. How thick would a piece of your plexiglass need to be at 60 feet by 10 feet to withstand the pressure of 18,000 cubic feet of water?
That's easy. 6 inches. We carry stuff that big in stock.
Yes, I noticed. Now just suppose, I could show you a way to manufacture a wall that would do the same job, but it was only an inch thick. Would that be worth something to you, eh?
Are you joking? He never jokes. Perhaps the professor could use your computer. Please.
he gestures, and Scotty sits at a nearby Macintosh. He surveys the machine quizzically, clears his throat, and in a loud voice says,
Computer.
Bone steps in quickly, picks up the mouse, and shoves it into Scotty's hands. Scotty looks at the mouse, baffled, then puts it to his lips like a mic.
How quaint. Hello, computer.
Just use the keyboard.
The keyboard. How quaint.
Then, preparing his fingers like a concert pianist, he plunges to work furiously. Close computer screen. An awesome series of figures and graphics are appearing. Pull back to reveal Scotty, now master of the keyboard, while Nichols watches in awe next to Bones. With a flourish, Scotty hits a last command and a wondrous three-dimensional graphic appears.
Transparent aluminum.
Take it, laddie.
It would take years just to figure out the dynamics of this matrix. You'll be rich beyond the dreams of avarice.
So, is it for something, or should I just punch Claire?
Oh, no. No. What did you have in mind? A moment alone, please. You know, if we give him the formula, we'll be altering the future.
Why? How do you know he didn't invent the thing?
As Bones accepts the truth of this, we hear,
Right here is fine.
Exterior Golden Gate Park, spaceship site, dusk. The Land Rover pulls to a stop. Kirk and Spock get out, but Kirk gets back in. Closer, across Jillian and Carr. Spock is now outside. Jillian calls to him.
You sure you won't change your mind?
Is there something wrong with the one I have?
Just a little joke. See you later, old friend.
How do you know Gracie's pregnant? Nobody knows that.
Gracie does. I'll be right here.
Spock walks out of view.
You just gonna hang around the bushes while we eat?
It's his way.
And they drive off. Angle on Spock. After the Land Rover has departed, he is left alone, standing quietly. Then, with no warning, He beams out. Interior Italian restaurant, Kirk and Jillian night. Not fancy, but nice. A waiter stands, ready to take their order.
Do you trust me?
Implicitly.
Good. A large mushroom and pepperoni with extra onions and Michelob.
And you, sir.
Kirk stares at the menu blankly. He shrugs.
Make it 2.
Mm-hmm.
The waiter leaves. Kirk and Jillian a moment, then
So, how did a nice girl like you get to be a cetacean biologist?
Just lucky, I guess.
You're upset about losing the whales.
You're very perceptive.
How will that be done exactly?
Well, they'll be flown in a special 747 to Alaska and released there.
Flown, and that's the last you'll see of them.
See? Yes, but we'll tag them with a radio transmitter on a special frequency so we can keep tabs on them.
You know, I could take those whales somewhere they wouldn't be hunted.
You can't even get from Sausalito to San Francisco without a lift.
the waiter returns with their beers and 2 plates.
Thanks.
If you have
Cheers.
such a low opinion of my abilities, how come we're having dinner?
I told you. I'm a sucker for hard luck cases. Besides, I want to know why you travel around with that ditzy guy who knows about Gracie's pregnant and calls you Admiral?
Kirk says nothing, looks at her. Their chemistry, all right.
Where could you take them? My whales. Where could you take them where they'd be safe?
It's not so much a matter of place as of time.
Sorry, the time would have to be right now.
What do you mean now?
Let's just say that no humpback whale born in captivity has ever survived. Problem is, they won't be a whole lot safer at sea because of all the hunting this time of year. So that, as they say, is that. Damn.
As she dabs her eyes with a napkin, Kirk's communicator beeps 3 times from under his clothes. Pained, he ignores it.
What's that?
What's what?
You got a pocket pager. What are you, a doctor?
The beeper again. Exasperated, Kirk flips it open.
What is it? I thought I told you never to call me.
Interior bird of prey cargo bay, transporter control area.
Sorry, Admiral. We just thought you'd like to know we're beaming in them now.
Back to scene.
I see. You tell them this is on starting. Good luck. And Kirk out.
Long pause. Jillian stares at him, pulls on her beard thoughtfully, then,
Want to try that from the top?
Tell me when the whales are going to be released.
Who are you?
Who do you think I am?
she bites her pizza.
Don't tell me you're from outer space.
No, I'm from Iowa. I just work in outer space.
Well, I was close. I knew it was going to go. I knew outer space was going to come into it sooner or later.
All right, the truth?
I'm all ears.
That's what you think. Okay, true. I'm from what on your calendar would be the late 23rd century. I've been sent back in time to bring 2 humpback whales with me in an attempt to repopulate the species.
Well, why didn't you say so? Why all the coy disguises?
You want the details?
Are you kidding? I wouldn't miss this for all the tea in China.
Then tell me when the whales are leaving.
Jesus, you are persistent. Okay, your friend was right. Gracie is not only pregnant, she is very pregnant. At noon tomorrow, in what is sure to be a media circus, the whales get shipped out.
Noon tomorrow.
The waiter arrives, plunks the pizzas down, and holds up the check.
Who gets the bad news?
Don't tell me. They don't have money in the 23rd century.
What sort of a waiter is this? Well, we don't. Come on, I don't have much time now.
And so saying, he exits, leaving a baffled Jillian and waiter. Jillian, a beat, then covers to the waiter.
Can we have this to go?
Exterior Naval Base night. USS Enterprise floodlit secure. Shore patrolman on duty. A general sense of tight security. Interior corridor. USS Enterprise. A sailor in dungarees and a drug-dogged patrol the empty corridor. As they near camera, a familiar sound, the beam-in, is heard faintly. The dog stops. His ears go up in surprise. The sailor has not heard the sound. He whistles to the dog and urges him on down the corridor. Interior machinery room night. Deep within the bowels of the ship. Uhura and Chekhov have made it in. They carry with them the collecting device, a long flashlight-like tube with a folded-up metal piece. They start forward, hide momentarily as a pair of feet walk above them, seen through the metal decking which forms a ceiling above them. Then they start carefully out of shot. Interior room adjacent to reactor area. Signs of danger and warnings, definitely off limits. They move quickly to the reactor threshold, a control area marked by sings, warnings, and flashings red lights. Uhura takes a confirming reading on her tricorder, nods, and Chekhov fans the metal piece open into a parabolic shape. He places the dish in the place indicated by Uhura, turns on a power source. A faint sound indicates it is working.
How long?
Depends on how much shielding is between us and the reactor.
She looks around nervously. Exterior Golden Gate Park, landing site night. As the Land Rover pulls to a stop, Angle inside Land Rover, Kirk and Jillian. As she pulls on the handbrake, the empty pizza box is between them.
I just had to type a retort there. Well, Admiral, that may be the strangest dinner of my life and the biggest cockamamie for story I've ever heard. Well, at least I could be on camera on cue.
I'm having internet troubles. The 1980s aren't exactly the most high tech. You asked. Now, will you tell me something? George and Gracie's transmitter, what's the frequency?
She looks at him.
Sorry, that's classified. I don't really have a clue who you are. You wouldn't want to show me around your little spaceship, would you?
It wouldn't be my first choice, no.
So, there we are.
Let me tell you something. I'm here to bring two humpbacks into the 23rd century. If I have to, I'll go to the open sea to get them, but I'd just as soon as take yours. Better for me, better for you, and better for them.
But you're a damn good poker player.
Think about it, but don't take too long, because I'm out of time. If you change your mind, this is where I'll be.
Here. In the park.
Right.
He gives her a brief kiss and is gone. She sits there, surprised, but not disagreeably. Then she restarts her car and is about to depart when she hears an odd sound off screen, and there is a slight flicker of reflected light. She turns and looks back through the rear window. Her POV. There is no one within 100 feet of where Kirk last stood. Back to Jillian. She turns back, puzzled, slips the car into gear, and still puzzled, departs. Interior bird of prey transporter room. Kirk materializes and is met by Spock. Immediately they begin walking.
Status.
The tank will be finished by morning.
That's cutting it closer than you know. What about Team 2?
No word since Beeman. We can only wait for their call.
Damn it. We've been so lucky. We have the two perfect whales in our hands, but if we don't move quickly, we'll lose them.
In that event, the probabilities that our mission would fail.
Our mission? God damn it, Spock, you're talking about the end of every life on Earth. You're half human, haven't you got any goddamn feelings about that?
Enraged and frustrated, Kirk stalks off, leaving Spock. A critical moment. His feelings are surfacing, anger, pain, and above all, confusion. Interior ship compartment, close on collector. Pull back, the device is still humming. Uhura looks at Chekhov in concern. He can only shrug. Interior CIC room night, favoring radar screen, which seems to be having electronic trouble. Watching it are a radar operator and an electronic technician. In background are other enlisted techs and 2 officers. The operator plays with the faulty screen and says,
Someone could be a technician because I forgot to cast the operator and technician. The hell! There it is again.
That's weird, Commander.
the command duty officer steps to the console.
Though you were running a test program. Aye, sir, but we're getting an apparent power drain through the module. It's coming from somewhere in the ship. CIC Command Duty Officer Rogerson. Yes, Chief. We're tracking it here to... What do you make of it? We sure? Check the video scan. I need to confirm. He thinks there's an intruder in one of the MRs.
Uhura and Chekhov. The collector makes a sound that appears final. As Chekhov removes the device from the bulkhead and folds the metal in place, Uhura flips the communicator open.
Scotty, we're ready for beam out. Scotty, can you hear me?
The CIC room. As the CDO, waiting on phone, hears a voice.
Yes, Chief. Confirmed. Roger that.
He clicks off, dials a number code, and in a moment,
Mardit, CO, this is Commander Rogerson, the command duty officer. We have an intruder in the 4 MMR. I say again.
Uhura and Chekhov.
Scotty, come in, please. Scotty, do you read? Aye, lass, I hear ya.
Bird of prey transporter area, Scotty.
My transporter's power is down to minimal. I got to bring in one at a time. Stun boy.
Sorry, go ahead. Uhura, Chekhov, Ilum, Visit Evasion.
No, that's
Oh.
that's special effects. ILM is in Industrial Light and Magic.
Okay, cool.
Take the collector. You go first.
Chekhov steps aside as Scotty sweats back in the BOP transporter. The transporter power is discernibly weak. At last, Uhura is slowly beamed out. Chekhov looks nervously about.
Scotty, how soon? Hello?
Back to Scotty. Scotty is working feverishly as Chekhov's voice breaks up on speaker. During scene, Uhura enters and listens anxiously.
Chekhov, you're breaking up. Please signal again. Chekhov, can you hear me? Chekhov!
Back to Chekhov. The running feet and off-screen commission are louder, closer.
Scotty, now we be a good time.
Another angle past Chekhov. From all angles, U.S. Marines and jungle fatigues, helmets, and bandoliers have surrounded Chekhov, their shotguns leveled at him.
Precisely, what does this mean, freeze?
Interior interrogation room, Enterprise night. We are close on an FBI agent, his badge in the lapel pocket. He's examining Chekhov's ID.
Lieutenant Commander Pavel Chekhov, Starfleet, United Federation of Planets.
Pull back to include Chekhov, various naval officers, and a civilian.
All right, Commander. You want to say anything?
Like what?
Like who you really are and what you're doing here and what this thing is?
My name is Pavel Chekhov. I am LT Commander in Starfleet, United Federation of Planets, service number 656587B.
All right. Let's take it from the top.
The top of what?
Name.
My name?
Oh, my name.
I do not know your name.
Look, you play games with me and you're through.
I am? May I go now?
The agent takes a deep breath of exasperation and, leaving Chekhov on the at the table, walks back to the civilian.
What do you think? What do you think?
He's a risky.
No kidding. He may be a Rusky, all right, but he's a Republican or something.
We better call
Oh.
Washington.
Jeez.
Damn.
While they huddle, Chekhov snatches up the phaser.
Don't move.
They stare at him in disbelief.
Okay, make nice and give us the ray gun.
I warn you, if you don't lie on the floor, I will have to stun you.
Go ahead. Stun me.
I'm really sorry, but
He aims the phaser and pulls. It makes a pathetic burbling sound. Everyone stares. Chekhov apologetically.
it must be the radiation.
With an abrupt change of mood, he bolts for the nearest bulkhead door, dogs it open, and reaches out.
Someone sound a general alarm. Better tell the Marines to go easy. Don't hurt the crazy bastard.
Interior ship, companionways, and decks, night. Series of shots. As alarms sound, Chekhov dogs a bulkhead door him. Then, as a choice of down a hatch or up a ladder, he wisely goes up. Marines pour from hatchways and corridors in hot pursuit. Chekhov up a ladder, Marines in pursuit below. Up the ladder come the Marines. Hangar deck. Chekhov breaks into the great empty space, barn-like. He sees the elevator opening, a shot at freedom. He races toward the light. Marines gaining follow him across the hangar. Chekhov reaches the elevator portal, races onto the elevator and the gangway beyond, only to see shore patrolmen coming up the gangplank to the elevator. Behind Chekhov, the Marines have caught up. He to his left, thinking to dive into the water, and then with a cry. Exterior ship up-angled night. It's too late for Chekhov. He falls from the elevator into camera, reverse toward barge. Chekhov has landed on a floating barge below the elevator. He lies there, unmoving. Up-angled, the pursuers. The Marines and shore patrolmen look in horror. The FBI man rushes up and seeing.
Damn. Get an ambulance.
Interior bird of prey bridge, favoring Uhura, night. She's at her station, distraught, monitoring a series of local police and paramedical emergency calls. Kirk enters, comes to her.
Any luck?
Nothing. I should have never left him.
Alright, you did what was necessary. Keep trying. You'll find him.
Kirk steps to his chair, presses calm, weary, frustrated.
Mrs. Scott, you promised me an estimate on the dilithium crystals.
Interior cargo bay, dilithium charger. Scotty and Spock are watching a slow recrystallization process.
It's going slow, sir. I'm giving it till she's got. It'll be well into tomorrow.
Not good enough, Scotty. You've got to do better.
My name is apparently Irish now, but I'll try, sir. Scott out. Well, now he's got himself into a bit of a snit, don't he?
He is a man of deep feelings.
So what else is new?
Hold on, Spock. Up above, hold on, Kirk. As Uhura's police calls echo faintly in background, he feels all the frustration of waiting. Dissolve 2, Exterior Citation Institute morning. The Land Rover pulls up and Jillian gets out puzzled. It's very quiet. No press, no crews. The main door is locked. She takes out a key and enters. Exterior tank area. Jillian enters and stares. It's strange, ghostly, and empty here. She can see no sign of George or Gracie. Has her world gone mad? Has she walked into the wrong dimension? As her distress mounts, she turns to face. Angle to include Bob.
They left last night. We didn't want a mob scene with the press, and it wouldn't have been good for them. Besides, we thought it would be easier for you this way.
You sent them away without even letting me say goodbye!
Jillian!
She slaps him
You
hard.
son of a bitch!
Exterior through Land Rover window, parking lot. As Jillian runs to her car from background and climbs in, close. For a moment she sits there, her head on the wheel, sobbing now. Then with determination, she starts the car and peels out of the scene. Exterior air-to-air over San Francisco day. The Plexicore helicopter carrying an enormous pane of plexiglass across the city. It is not exactly steady. Interior helicopter. Sulu is at the controls, muttering to himself. How the hell did they ever keep these things in the air? Exterior, the edge of Golden Gate Park, ground to air day, as the chopper and its load pass overhead. Exterior landing site. The Land Rover drives up and stops. Jillian jumps out, still overwrought. She looks around and almost like a silent scream for help, she yells Kirk's name. The scream is silent because it's drowned out by the sound of the approaching helicopter. Jillian looks up to see the helicopter. Comes closer, then hovers. Close, Scotty. He climbs into shot from below frame line, waves Sulu in like a landing officer on a carrier. Jillian, she cannot believe what she's seeing off screen. Her paw. The chopper is lowering the plexiglass into thin air, and guiding the process is half of Scotty, visible only from the waist up. Back to scene. Jillian, stunned, moves forward to get a better view and clunks her head on an invisible strut. She gets up and feels the thing like a blind person. She's starting to understand she's in some Twilight Zone, in desperation.
Kirk! Kirk, listen to me! Oh, God! Kirk, I need you!
To Scotty, he's seen her distress below him. To communicator.
Admiral, we have a problem.
Interior bird of prey cargo bay, on Kirk. He is looking upward, a shaft of daylight falling on his face. As he hears Scotty's cry from above, he turns quickly to a surveillance monitor close by. There on the screen, he sees Jillian's agitated figure. There is a moment of amazed reaction, then looking up to Scotty.
Stand by, Scotty.
Back to scene. As hysterically, she trips and bumps into other parts of the invisible ship.
Kirk, please, Kirk!
The sound she once heard, she hears again, and to her disbelief, she disappears in the beam effect. Interior bird of prey transporter area. As Jillian beams in, Kirk is there.
Hello, Alice. Welcome to Wonderland.
Oh,
She looks about, dazed as he helps her off transporter.
it's true. What you said.
Yes, and I'm glad you're here, though I'll admit you picked a hell of a time to drop in.
She's about to faint. Kirk catches her.
Steady now, we need your help.
Have I flipped out? Is any of this real?
It's all real, look. The storage tanks for the whales.
But Kirk.
We'll bring them up just like we brought you. It's called a transporter beam.
Kirk, they're gone.
Gone?
They were taken. They were taken last night. I wasn't told. They're in Alaska by now.
Damn!
But they're tagged, I told you. Can't you go find them?
At the moment, we can't go anywhere.
What kind of spaceship is this anyway?
A spaceship with a missing man.
He looks up to see Spock entering, all business.
Admiral, full power is restored.
Thank you, Spock.
As Jillian stares at Spock's ears.
Hello, Doctor. Welcome aboard.
He offers his hand. She shakes it in wonder as...
Admiral, are you there?
Yes, sir. What's wrong?
I found Chekhov, sir. He's in the emergency surgery right now.
Where?
Mercy Hospital. That's in the Mission District. They report his condition is critical. He is not expected to survive.
Jim, you've got to let me go in there. Don't leave him in the hands of 20th century medicine.
What do you think, Spock?
Admiral, may I suggest that Dr. McCoy is correct? We must help Chekhov.
Is that the logical thing to do, Spock?
Jesus, Hunter.
No, Admiral, but it is the human thing to do.
Right. Will you help us?
How?
We'll need to look like physicians.
Interior Mercy Hospital corridor. Day. Track with Kirk, Bones, and Jillian, dressed as doctors and nurses. Bones carries his own medical equipment in a traditional black bag.
We'll check this way. You try down there.
They split. Kirk and Jillian go one way. We follow Bones. He walks down a corridor, nodding to other doctors, nurses, interns. He sees a gurney, steps to it. On it is a very feeble, elderly woman.
Doctor,
What's the matter with you?
kidney dialysis.
Dialysis? What is this, the Dark Ages? Here, swallow one of these.
He slips a lozenge from his bag under her tongue.
Call me if you have a problem.
I don't have your number.
Interior hospital angle elevator day. Kirk and Jillian. Kirk gestures off screen, widen to admit Bones.
They're holding him in a security corridor, one flight up. His condition is critical.
Bones reacts, then looks around. He sees an empty gurney.
Come on.
Interior corridor, outside room day. Kirk and Bones, masks on their faces, emerge wheeling the gurney with Jillian under the covers. They head for an elevator. The doors open. Interior elevator day. Kirk and Bones push the gurney in. Two interns are talking.
So Weintraub says radical chemotherapy or she's just gonna croak. Just like that.
And gotta leave.
Well, what do you expect? All he talked about was image therapy.
Unbelievable.
You have a different view, Doctor?
Sounds like the goddamn Spanish Inquisition.
The doors open. They wheel the bed out. The doors close, leaving the interns looking at each other, perplexed. Interior upstairs corridor. Day. We track behind Kirk, Bones, and the bed towards the end of the hall. Two policemen block their passage.
Out of the way.
They don't budge. Under the sheet, Jillian starts to wail.
Sorry, Doctor, we have strict orders.
Jillian wails louder. The policemen look uncertain.
Damn it, this woman has immediate postprandial upper abdominal distension. Do you want an acute case on your hands?
Jillian wails. The policemen finally move aside and they push their way through. Angle other side of doors.
What did you say she was getting?
Cramps.
Jillian sits up, throws off the sheet as they see the operating theater. They leave the bed where it is and proceed into the room, lifting their surgical masks.
Lee! Why hasn't this man been prepped?
Kirk looks to Bones, who nods, and they walk around the curtains where Chekhov, unconscious, lies on the table. Two nurses arrange instruments in preparation for surgery while a young doctor reads Chekhov's chart.
Who are you? Dr. Adams was supposed to assist me.
We're just observing.
I was not informed about observers.
Then, to the curious glances of the surgical team, Bones takes out his tricorder and passes it over to Chekhov.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
Reading the patient's vital signs.
An experimental device, Doctor.
Carrying of the middle meningeal artery.
What's your degree in dentistry?
How do you explain slowing pulse, low respiratory rate, and coma?
Fundoscopic examination. Yeah.
Endoscopic examination is unrevealing in these cases.
A simple evacuation of the expanding epidural hematoma will relieve the pressure.
My God, man, drilling holes in his head is not the answer. The artillery must be repaired without delay or he will die. So put away your butcher knives and let me save this patient.
The young doctor gives Bones an icy stare.
I don't know who the hell you are, but I'm going to have you removed.
But as he turns to leave, Kirk blocks his path. Then,
Doctors, this is highly unprofessional.
he gives the doctor a swift, sure judo chop. Jillian and the nurses gasp.
Quite harmless, I assure you.
As Bones pulls out his medical tricorder and begins working on Chekhov, Kirk slings the fallen doctor over his shoulder and draws a phaser.
Ladies, please.
Indicating a windowed room adjoining, he herds them in there, lowers the doctor to the floor, and closes the door. Then he adjusts his phaser, aims at the lock, and insert Kirk phaser melts the lock. Back to scene. Bones muttering as he passes the device over Chekhov.
Chemotherapy, fundoscopic examination, dealing with medievalism here.
Kirk joins him. Chekhov has begun to moan faintly.
Wake up, man. Wake up.
Come on, Pavel.
Chekhov's eyes begin to flutter.
It's coming around, Jim.
Pavel, can you hear me? Give me your name and rank.
Chekhov, Pavel H. Rank, Admiral.
Don't you guys have any enlisted types?
Now Chekhov is pulling out of it. He sits up.
Dr. McCoy is
Hello to
Sorry,
you,
what?
Chekhov.
Exterior upstairs corridor. The doctor is pushing the sheet draped Chekhov exit, passing the two policemen we saw before.
How's the patient?
He's going to make it.
They went in with a sheet.
They look at each other and make a beeline for the OR.
One little mistake.
Interior bird of prey engine room, dilithium chamber. The crystals are coming back to life. Widened to reveal the process, supervised by Scotty, watched by Spock. Interior hospital corridor, Kirk and friends. Rolling the gurney in a hurry. Alarms go off. Loudspeakers. They break into a run. Same corridor, near double doors. A group of hospital and police guards round a corner, see the fleeing Kirk, and race toward us, camera panning. As they exit, hold on double doors which open. Sitting up on an emergency gurney, happy as a clam, is the feeble old lady we saw before. Two doctors, one pushing.
So, how do you explain it? Somebody else be doctor number one.
According to the scanner, she's grown a new kidney.
Interior hospital corridor, various shots. Kirk and friends racing at high speed. The guards, weapons drawn, are gaining. On the speeding gurney, Chekhov raises his head in confusion. Bones clunks him down. A large elevator door opens ahead. As the gurney heads for it, a hospital guard steps in the way. The gurney as a battering ram, Kirk takes the guard out of the play. Races with Bones and Jillian into the elevator. The doors close just as the perusing forces get there. The guards check the up indicator and head for the stairs. Inside the elevator, going up, Jillian is concerned. Jillian, you're concerned.
Don't tell me what I am. If we keep this up, they'll catch us.
Calm yourself, nurse. Scotty, get us out of here.
Top floor, the pursuers race out of the stairwell across the elevator where the indicator says they've beat the elevator. Weapons drawn, they wait. When the doors open, they press forward. POV, the elevator is empty. Back to the group, consternation. Exterior landing site, series of shots. Kirk, Jillian, Bones, and Chekhov beam in. Bones leads Chekhov toward the descending ramp. Sulu appears to help. They all disappear up the ramp, which now begin to... Kirk alone with Jillian. She sees the ramp closing and begins to sense something is wrong.
Jillian, would the whales be at sea by now?
Yes. If you have a chart on board, I can show
All I
you.
need is the radio frequency to track them.
What are you talking about? I'm coming with you.
You can't. Our next stop is the 23rd century.
But why care? I've got nobody but those whales.
Sad. I have no time to argue, Jillian, or even tell you how much you've meant to us. The frequency.
All right. The frequency is 401 megahertz.
Thank you for everything. Beam me up, Scotty.
As Kirk starts to beam up, Jillian leaps, grabs him around the waist, and as they're beamed in together,
Surprise!
interior bird of prey bridge on doors. Whoosh! Kirk strides in, angry, Jillian following, looking around room at all the crew in wonder.
It was very dangerous. Mr. Spock, where the hell is the power you promised me?
Admiral, you must wait one damn minute.
I've already spoke. Let's go find George and Gracie.
Mr. Sulu,
I'm trying to remember how this works. I got used to Huey. As he works, Kirk turns to Jillian.
you tricked me.
You need me.
Ready, sir.
Go, Mrs. Sulu.
And the great roar begins. Exterior landing site day, series of shots. As the great hurricane envelops the meadow along with the roar, trees bend, trash cans and panic tables tumble until the roar begins to recede. Exterior Golden Gate Park, vertical POV, pulling up, day. The land area below is receding rapidly as the birds' rockets roar. Interior bridge, bird of prey. As the professionals from the future crackle their routine, Jillian watches wide-eyed.
Cloaking device is stable. All systems normal.
Stabilize energy reserve. Report helm.
Maintaining impulse climb. Wing 5 by 0, helm steady.
Advise reaching 10,000. Steer 310.
310, aye.
Aurora, scan for the whales. 401 megahertz.
Scanning, sir.
Exterior San Francisco, vertical POV, still rising, day. By now we see the outline of the bay and bridges on a sun-sprayed, beautiful day. Bridge. 10,000 MSL, Admiral.
Room to cruise configuration. Full impulse power.
Aye, sir. 310 to the Bering Sea, ETA, 12 minutes. As Jillian reacts to this, the impulse engines roar and exterior POV looking forward from bird. We are speeding at Mach 16 or 17 down the California coast and out toward the open sea. Bridge, intercut engine room.
Scotty, are the whale tanks secure?
Cargo
Aye.
bay, Scotty.
Aye, but I've never beamed up to 400 tons before.
For 100 tons.
It ain't just the whales, it's the water.
Back to bridge, Kirk.
Yes, of course.
Kirk moves to Uhura, followed by Jillian.
The whales. Any contact?
Uhura, earpiece pressed, holds up her hand to indicate she is working on it, favoring Spock's station. As Spock looks baffled, Bones enters shot.
You present the appearance of a man with a problem.
Your perception is correct, Doctor. In order to return us to the exact moment at which we left the 23rd century, I have used a journey back through time as a reference, calculating the coefficient of elapsed time in relation to the acceleration curve.
Naturally. So, what is your problem?
Acceleration is no longer a constant.
Well, you're going to have to take your best shot.
Best shot.
Guess, Spock. Your best guess.
Guessing is not in my nature.
Well, nobody is perfect.
Angle, Uhura's station. Faint sound of whale transponder is heard. Jillian reacts.
Jesus. That's it! Affirmative. Contact with the whales.
Bearing.
Bearing 327, range 600 nautical.
Put them on screen.
How can you do that? It's radio. Image translation on screen.
On view screen, a slightly deteriorated image, but we can make out George and Gracie. There's a moment of reaction from Jillian, Kirk, Spock, and all. Then, exterior ocean, the whales, day. They breach, singing their song, and the music swells to say what is in everyone's heart. Hang in there. Back to bridge.
Admiral, I have a signal closing in on the whales, bearing 328 degrees.
On screen.
On view screen, a semi-clear image of a whaling ship, its prow cutting through the water. Its harpoon gun is very much in evidence.
What kind of a ship is that?
It's a whaling ship, Doctor.
Estimate range. Ship to whales.
Sir, estimating 1 nautical mile. Oh my God, we're too late.
Mr. Sulu, full power descent.
Exterior ocean POV. The horizon rises as our view dips 20 degrees. The speed increases to 12,000 mph, and we whiz through puffy clouds toward an unseen ocean target hundreds of miles away. Exterior ocean, the ship, series of shots, day. The whaler is modern and plows through the water at 25 knots. Its crew are largely bearded. They are Northern Europeans, maybe Swedes, Icelanders, or Russians, all famous as humpback hunters. The radar turns lazily. Then, in the crow's nest, a sailor points. Binoculars are trained. They see something. The ship begins a gradual course change. The engine telegraph signals flank speed. The decks are exploding with activity as she heads toward the quarry. Exterior ocean, day. The whales break the surface, arcing majestically, enjoying the sun and their freedom. Interior bridge, bird of prey. I'll just skip that. Dive speed is 200 knots per minute. 3.3 per second, estimate reaching whales in 1.2 minutes. Aboard the ship, various angles. Feverish activity punctuated by the rising sound of sonar pinging. Harpoons are being carried to the gun and loaded. The crew begins pointing excitedly to the distance. Exterior ocean, the whales. George and Gracie, oblivious to the danger, move through the water. Interior bridge. Range to whales, 30 seconds. Exterior ocean, the boat. The harpoon gun is loaded and is transversing. Interior, the bridge. We see the boat on screen. 10 seconds, sir.
Hover on my mark, Mr. Sulu. Mr. Chekhov, stand by, decloaking. Scotty, ready for power build-up. Mark, Mr. Sulu.
The ocean, George and Gracie. They lazily appear on the surface, oblivious to danger. They are our perfect target. The ship. The gunner sights with confidence. Fires. FX sequence. The harpoon sails through the air toward the whales. Then, with a great thwang, hits an invisible something and falls harmlessly into the sea. The boat. Bafflement. Consternation. Then, the bridge. Closer. Kirk.
Scotty, disengage cloaking device.
Aye, sir.
Exterior ocean. Where the harpoon had stopped, now comes a roar of sound and light. The bird of prey, big as a football field, decloaks. Aboard the ship, various angles. Oh my god, what the hell? Alarm klaxons. The helmsman spins the wheel. The engine telegraph goes to flank. Interior bridge. The defeat of the whaler causes the cheers of all, but Kirk quiets them with.
Mrs. Scott, it's up to you now. Commence build-up for transporter beam.
Give it to me best, sir.
As the sound of the beam buildup begins, cargo bay, Scotty. Everything is to the firewall, and he's sweating.
Stay with me, sir. Need more powder curve.
How long, Scotty?
10 seconds, Admiral. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
As the energy wind peaks, exterior ocean underwater. George and Gracie, moving slowly through the deep, begin to beam out. Cargo bay favoring the tank. As Scotty watches in awe, the whales and half a tank of seawater beam in. On Scotty, open-mouthed.
Admiral, there be whales here.
The bridge.
Well done, Mrs. Scott. How soon can we be ready for warp speed?
I'll have to re-energize.
Don't take too long. We are sitting ducks for their radar systems. Mr. Sulu, impulse climb.
Exterior bird of prey. As she begins to climb with moderate speed to altitude. Bridge. Continue intercutting.
Unidentified aircraft, 40,000 feet, MSL, range 30 miles, bearing 010.
Mrs. Scott, how soon?
And by, sir, miracle worker at work.
Mrs.
Give it a
Scott,
total
don't...
Captain.
I understand, but Mrs. Scott, don't make jokes. We are in danger of...
Full power, sir.
Mrs. Sulu, if you please.
Aye, sir. Warp speed. Exterior subspace. The bird of prey explodes into warp speed, disappearing into the deep blue-black of space beyond. At bridge. I can't hear you.
No, that's because I was muted. Mr. Sulu, take the con. I'm taking our guest down to see her whales. Mrs. Buck, have you accounted for the variable mass of whales and water in your time re-entry program?
Mr. Scott cannot give me exact figures, Admiral, so I will make a guess.
You. Spock. That's extraordinary.
He steps forward, shakes Spock's hand as though he had just come through a great transformation. In high spirits, Kirk leads Jillian off the bridge, leaving a puzzled Spock.
I don't think he understands.
No, Spock. It means he feels safer about your guesses than most other people's facts.
There is a pause.
You're saying it is a compliment.
It is.
Spock straightens, pulls the bottom of his garment straight through with dignity, and accepts the responsibility.
I will try the best guess I can.
Interior cargo bay, wheels and tank. The two wheels are constantly behind the plexiglass, their eyes focusing on Jillian. Kirk, Scotty flank her, all watching the whales.
Ironic. When man was killing these creatures, he was destroying his own future.
The wee beasties seem happy to see you, Doctor. I hope you like our little aquarium. Merry go, Mr. Scott. Miracles yet to come.
Scotty exits shot.
What does that mean?
It means our chances of getting home are not very good. You might have lived a longer life if you stayed where you belong.
I belong here. Suppose by some miracle you do get them through. Who in the 23rd century knows anything about humpback whales?
You have a point.
As she looks at Kirk, the ship begins to vibrate quietly.
You better get up there, sir. We're having some powerful...
On my way.
Kirk hurries out.
Buckle up, lassie. It's about to get bumpy from here.
Exterior space, bird of prey, to the sun. As before, she is heading straight for the great star. Interior bridge, bird of prey. Kirk enters through the whooshing doors. The bridge is beginning to shake badly now. Kirk listens to.
Warp 7.5, 7.9. Mr. Sulu, that's all I can give you.
Field at maximum.
Kirk steps forward.
Can we make breakaway speed?
Oh my
Well,
God.
Mr. Spock, can we make breakaway speed or not?
Sorry, Admiral. I cannot even guarantee we will escape the sun's gravity. I will attempt to compensate by altering our trajectory. Sorry, too much Romulan ale.
Warp 8, 8.1. Maximum speed, sir.
Admiral, I need thruster control.
Acceleration thrusters at Spock's command.
Close on Spock as the buffeting gets intense. A further wait, then.
Steady. Steady. Now.
Base, series of shots, the slingshot. Just as the bird appears certain to be swallowed by the sun, a blast accelerates the ship along the far curve of the sun as before. Solar flares lick the blurring vessel as she disappears behind the sun. The camera pans across the sun, waiting for the comet to appear around the far side of the sun as she did before, and we wait, and we wait. Closer, the bird does not appear. The wait is interminable. Has the ship incinerated? Then abruptly there is a bang and the sound of retros as we heard in the first time sequence. Suddenly, interior bird of prey bridge. The silence is total and deafening. We do not hear even the ambient pings and pongs of the electronic equipment. We have a feeling of limbo, yet the people seem all right, though baffled. Are we in some new dimension? Kirk surveys the scene and dares to speak.
Spock, did braking thrusters fire?
They did, Admiral.
Then where the hell are we?
Consternation from all. Then faintly in the void of sound, we begin to hear the probe gibberish. Exterior San Francisco Bay, waves crash against the shore. This sequence is exactly as we saw earlier in the film, gibberish louder now. Interior Starfleet Command, as before, panic, lightning, and probe gibberish.
Sir, I'm picking up a faint transmission. It's Admiral Kirk calling.
On screen.
But at this moment, the entire situation displays go fuzzy, distorts, and is gone.
Satellite reserve power. Now.
The board starts up again, but dimmer, more erratic. A distorted image of Kirk appears on screen, intercut with bird of prey. We will not hear every word.
Analysis. Protocol. Captain Spock. Opinion. Extinct species humpback whale. Proper response. Did you read me?
Stabilize. Emergency reserve.
As the comm officer responds, Sarek steps up beside Morrow. Now Kirk's image clears enough to see.
Starfleet, if you read, we are going to attempt the time travel. We are completing our trajectory at this time.
But suddenly the power fails. Kirk's image is gone. Silence as they stare at the blank screen.
Good luck, Kirk, and all who go with you.
The interruption is sudden. The entire great window facing the bay crashes inward, filling the room with debris, cries, and howling wind. Interior Starfleet Command, new footage. As the wind and the rain blow through the room, we find Sarek and Morrow, hands held up to protect their faces. Then suddenly, Sarek looks outward, point.
Look! Look!
Exterior of the bay, POV bird of prey. Deep overcast lightning flashes, heavy rain. We are looking toward the Golden Gate. The bird of prey is descending out of the overcast, headed toward the bridge in a shallow but uncontrolled dive. Probe gibberish present throughout sequence. Interior bridge, the buffeting of turbulence, the gibberish loud. A sense of helplessness we've never seen from this crew.
Spock, condition report.
No data, Admiral. Computers are non-functional.
The mains are down, sir. Aux power is not responding.
Mr. Sulu, switch the menu control.
I have no control, sir.
Picture, hurrah.
I can't, sir. Nothing.
Out of control and blind as a bat.
For God's sakes, Jim. Where are we?
Exterior San Francisco Bay, bird of prey. Series of shots. Where they are is headed for the Golden Gate Bridge. Sarek, Merrill, and the others watch in horror as the bird narrowly misses by sheer luck and whooshes under the Great Bridge. Skimming now over the ocean, closer and closer to impact. Interior bridge. Sir, I got some back pressure on manual.
Ground cushion, keep the nose up if you can.
Outside. The bird's long snout rotates up just a bit, and the crew holds its breath, and the bird of prey slams into the water like a giant stone being skipped, bounces once, then bellies in with ripping sounds. The crew is thrown about the bridge, and the side windows blow out with a pow. The bird comes to rest nose high. After a moment, it is clear she is sinking. Interior bridge, various shots. Water sprays from seams and pipes. The crew struggles to move against the uphill tilt.
Below the hatch.
Spock does. Kirk struggles to the blown-out hatch near Spock. He looks up into the rain above. His POV. Rain, fog, but above all, the gibberish of the probe. Back to Kirk.
You got us to the right place, Spock. Now all we have to do is get the whales out before we sink. Mrs. Scott, come in. Scotty. Damn, Mrs. Spock, see to the safety of all hands.
I will, Admiral.
Stay with Kirk as he fights his way downhill to the exit doors, which he forces open with great effort, then exits. Flooded cargo bay, aslant, Scotty and Jillian. They're in trouble. The water is waist deep and rising. Scotty cannot open the hatch door to the neck. Interior, the neck quarter. Kirk, water spraying about him, reach in the cargo bay door. He tugs at the emergency release. It's stuck. Flooded cargo bay. Water is now up to their necks. Scotty and Jillian cannot get out unless Kirk now wrenches the release, pulls the door open. He reaches his hand down, helps Jillian, then Scotty, into the temporary safety of the corridor above. Above the din of wind, rain, and hissing water, Kirk shouts,
The whales!
No power to the bay doors.
The explosive override.
It's underwater. There's no way to reach it.
Go on ahead and close the hatch.
Admiral, you'll be trapped.
But Kirk takes a deep breath and is gone, diving below. Scotty watches helplessly, then turns to aid Jillian up and out, closing the hatch as ordered. Interior cargo bay underwater. As Kirk swims in, begins searching. It's not going to be easy. Kirk cannot hold his breath forever. Exterior ocean day. As the crew one by one emerge from the bridge window into the pelting rain, they cling to the floating bridge. Inside the bridge, Spock helps Scotty and Jillian in and to the window's exit. Top of cargo bay. Kirk breaks the surface, his lungs screaming for air. Only a few inches remain unflooded. He gulps air and dives one last time. Interior cargo bay, underwater, series of shots. A determined Kirk swims rapidly down, looks desperately, finally finds the panel behind a layer of wreckage. He rips the barrier away, opens the seal, presses the sensor. There is a muffled explosion and exterior underwater, bottom of cargo hold. The bay doors swing open. Back to Kirk, underwater in cargo bay. He looks up and around for his best way out, deciding he suddenly dives down, disappears, and emerges out the open bay doors. He heads for the surface and exterior ocean, various shots, day. Kirk pops up to the surface, gulping for air. The rain pelts him. He looks around. The last of the survivors, Jillian and Spock, emerge safely. Kirk relieved, but where are the whales? And the probe's nagging gibberish is heard again. He dives once more. Underwater, Kirk comes toward us, stops to see. Exterior underwater, cargo bay doors. George and Gracie emerge from the bay doors and majestically move away from the ship. Underwater, Kirk. He watches in wonder, then heads for the surface. The surface, various shots. Kirk surfaces near the floating bridge and the survivors. Rain pelts, fog obscures, and above all, still unanswered call of the probe. Closer, Kirk arrives at the wreckage, takes a handhold near Jillian and Spock, looks back in deep.
Why don't they answer? Why don't they sing, damn it?
Exterior ocean underwater. Now something few have seen. George swims into center stage, undulates, and drops into a hanging vertical position. Then it begins, whale song. Exterior space, the probe. Its antenna turns to the new sound. Then it transmits a new gibberish, somehow more conversational. Underwater, the whale. As this new dialogue mounts, the probe will always transmit gibberish from above. The whale will always answer the whale song from underwater, but even the dullest of us will sense the relaxing of concern and tension, the almost conversational climax between the two communicators, and then space. The probe space dock in background. It sends what sounds like a farewell burst of gibberish. Then a thruster fires, and the probe arcs up and out of orbit into the far distance, leaving Earth behind. As it leaves, the lights in space dock slowly begin to swing on. Exterior San Francisco Bay, various shots. The rain begins to stop. The swirling clouds begin to calm in part. A shaft of slim sunlight peeks through. Kirk, Spock, Jillian watch. The crew watches as the clouds begin to part. Interior Starfleet Command. Suddenly, the great board becomes reactivated. Lights go on, sound and chatter return to normal.
Mr. President, we have power.
By God, it's Robert Loggia. Launch rescue shuttle.
Exterior Bay Area. With our floating survivors in foreground, we see the rapidly clearing skies over the Golden Gate Bridge and the city beyond. We hear faintly approaching rescue shuttle. Exterior ocean, the survivors sunlit now. They hear the growing sound of approaching rescue and looks at the clearing sky.
Congratulations, Jim. I think you've saved the Earth.
Not me, Bones. They did it.
Exterior ocean, their POV. George and Gracie breach and frolic in their new world. The sun breaks fully through, creating a most wonderful rainbow. All in all, a beautiful day in the 23rd century. Abrupt cut to Interior Federation Council Chamber. Somber, hushed by contrast, galleries filled largely by Starfleet personnel. Some coughs, no talk. Then, side entry door. It whooshes open and the president and the council enters soberly and take their places. The president goes to the central podium. He looks into the front row.
Bring the accused. Bring in the accused.
Angle, a somber group in spanking, fresh uniforms enters. They are Kirk, Bones, Scotty, Uhura, Sulu, and Chekhov. They walk past a front row where Jillian, Chapel, Rand, Sarek, and Spock watch them. The audience murmurs as the accused take their place on the Federation seal. Moment. Then Spock rises and crosses to Kirk's group where he stands at attention. Back to scene.
Captain Spock, you do not stand accused.
I stand with my shipmates. Their fate shall
As
be
you
mine.
wish. The charges and specifications are conspiracy assault on Federation officers, theft of Federation property, namely the Starship Enterprise, sabotage of the USS Excelsior, willful destruction of Federation property, specifically the aforementioned USS Enterprise, and finally disobeying direct orders of the Starfleet Commander, Admiral Kirk. How do you plead?
On behalf of all of us, Mr. President, I am authorized to plead guilty.
So entered. Hear now the sentences of the Federation Council. Because of certain mitigating circumstances, all charges but one are similarly dismissed. The remaining charge, disobeying orders of a superior officer, is directed only at Admiral Kirk. I'm sure the Admiral will recognize the necessity of keeping discipline in any chain of command.
I do, sir.
James T. Kirk, it is the judgment of this council that you be reduced in rank to captain. Okay. And that as consequence of your new rank, you be given the duties for which you have repeatedly demonstrated unswerving ability, the command of a starship.
Actions buzz happiness, but the president gavels for order.
Silence! Captain Kirk, your new command awaits you. You and your crew have saved this planet from its own short-sightedness, and we are forever in your debt.
The tide breaks loose. Everyone in the Great Hall rises to a standing ovation for Kirk and the crew. Interior Federation Council Chamber. The last of the crowd is exiting. Kirk and the crew are accepting the last handshakes and congratulations. Spirits are high, and Kirk suddenly turns to find himself face to face with Jillian.
My own exonerated Kirk. I'm so juiced I can't tell you. Mwah. Bye, Kirk. Thanks.
She starts away.
Hey, where are you going?
You're going to your ship, I'm going to mine. Science vessel. I've got 300 years of catch-up learning to do.
I mean, this is goodbye.
Why does it have to be goodbye?
Well, as to say in your century, I don't even have your phone number. How will I find you?
Don't worry. I'll find you. See you around the galaxy.
And she is gone.
And
Kirk
they
shakes
never
his
met
head
again.
shakes his head in affection and disbelief, then turns to see his POV, Spock. In a corner of the empty chamber, Spock awaits stiffly as Sarek approaches him. Back to Kirk. He sees, then waits discreetly, leaving them to talk alone. Angle, Spock, and Sarek as the father reaches the son, a quiet moment in the empty, echoing hall.
Father, I'll be returning to Vulcan within the hour. I wanted to take my leave of you. It is kind of you to make this effort. It is not an effort. You are my son. Besides, I am most impressed with your performance in this crisis. Most kind father.
Sarek looks at him uncertainly, wanting to hear something, finally.
As I recall, I opposed your enlistment in Starfleet. It is possible that judgment was incorrect. Your associates are people of good character. They are my friends. Yes, of course. Do you have any message for your mother? Tell her I feel fine.
Hold on, Sarek. It is his turn to raise a Vulcan eyebrow. Now Spock crosses to the waiting Kirk. They share a moment and depart together. Interior space dock. From the dock in the distance, amid the great ships, a tiny shuttlecraft comes toward us slowly. Interior shuttlecraft, Kirk and crew. A great window in front of the craft gives everyone a view of the ships and where they are headed. They do not seem to know. POV through the window and intercut with shuttle. Various vessels, odd-shaped, undistinguished, a Reliant class, a Saratoga, as they watch.
The bureaucratic mentality is the only constant in the universe. We'll get a freighter.
With all respect, Doctor, I'm counting on Excelsior.
Excelsior? Why in God's names would you want that bucket of bolts?
Scotty, don't prejudge. A ship is a ship.
Ahead, through the window, is Excelsior.
Whatever you say, sir. Thy will be done.
And then, through the window screen, it happens. The shuttle, automated, begins a rise and climb. The Excelsior disappears below the frame line, and in the near distance, a new spaceship appears. It appears to be a starship of the USS Constitution class. The faces of Kirk and the crew light up. Interior space dock, the spaceship. Close moving, approach. It looks like the Enterprise. As we get closer, it is. Interior space dock, closer angle, USS Enterprise. Favoring the great dish, where in freshly painted letters, USS Enterprise, and on the line below, NCC 1701A. A painter in spacesuit waves cheerily. Back to the shuttle. The emotion is high from all, but very restrained. Kirk says it for all.
My friends, we've come home.
Exterior space dock. The great exit doors open. The USS Enterprise emerges and heads out on a trial run. Interior bridge, USS Enterprise. Shiny, new, refitted for anything that may come. And the crew is where they belong, all at their stations. And Kirk is in his captain's chair.
Let's see what she's got, Mrs. Sulu.
Aye, sir. Space, the Enterprise. The great vessel curves and heads out. Over this we hear.
Space. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Ongoing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
With that, the Enterprise hits warp speed and is gone into the stars. Fade out. The end.
Whee! Oh my God, Hunter, got to say the words, the amazing words.
Hunter, you had a great Kirk.
That was the most overacted Kirk since William Shatner, and I am 100% here for it the entire
Get
time.
behind me, Chris.
It was
Behind.
amazing. Well, thank everyone for watching. Join us next time when we have yet to decide what Star Trek we'll do, but we will be back. All right, have a good night.